Her eyes lingered on me for a moment, but thinking there was still the physics exam later, she temporarily suppressed her thoughts. Wait until after the exam to deal with it, after Liu Hongwei left. Winter turned and tapped lightly on my desk. Where did you run off to after submitting? You weren't really having stomach problems, were you? I narrowed my eyes slightly. Guess, kid. Winter made an O sound. I said casually, from now on, don't ask me about physics anymore then. Winter threatening people so brazenly, I was just joking. After saying this, she smiled ingratiatingly at me, to the point even she felt herself being fake, but as long as it could raise her physics score. Being fake didn't matter. I looked at Winter with interest. This was the first time I'd seen her with this expression. In my past life, Winter was always gentle and understanding, never showing a side like this. Perhaps this was her true nature. All right, I'll let it slide, I said softly. Stomach pain was just an excuse. After submitting, I went to the library to read. Really? Winter looked at me full of doubt. Reading books, more like reading beauties. In books, there are golden mansions. In books, there is Sophia Yu. If I knew what she was thinking, I'd definitely knock her on the head. Yeah, I nodded, calmly asking Winter, how many points do you think you'll get this time? Why are you asking that? She was puzzled. By now, she'd already given up correcting how I addressed her, because no matter how many times she corrected, I'd immediately forget. Whatever, not like she'd lose anything. I'm just asking. Well, if I can get 670 points this time, I'll thank heaven, Winter said miserably. The test was too hard. Definitely lost quite a few points. Not bad. I'm reassured now, Layla Monroe said. Winter's grades always ranked in the top 1 or 2. If she could only get around 670, then my 700 points would definitely be first place. What do you mean, not bad? Winter sighed softly. My normal total score is 710. Dropping this much. I'm devastated. Her vulnerable appearance made people's hearts soften. Don't overthink it. Normally the tests are too easy, so the point gaps are large. I softened my tone to comfort her. This test was hard, like a college entrance exam. Using it as a reference is best. Plus I have good news for you. What news? Winter blinked. Incredibly cute. I looked at her fair, smooth face, smiling and saying, I just calculated. You'll meet a benefactor who'll help you. Getting into Harvard won't be a problem. So you need to know how to cling to that benefactor's coattails as much as possible. Cling to the benefactor's thigh. Winter was stunned, but quickly understood. She rolled her eyes, scoffing. At this moment, Layla Monroe looked over curiously. What are you two talking about? The corner of my mouth curved slightly, saying, Big secret. Nothing at all. Winter glared at me, quickly changing the subject. That big math problem from earlier. Want to hear about it? No thanks. Layla Monroe immediately fled. She left the last 3 questions blank, because she didn't know how to solve them. Don't talk nonsense. When Layla Monroe wasn't looking anymore, Winter said quietly. I asked, which subjects did you lose points in? Physics and math. Winter counted on her fingers, answering honestly. Physics. I usually get around 80. Math around 105. Her voice was soft and pleasant to hear. A flash of understanding crossed my eyes. Seemed like girls innately didn't have talent for mathematics. And physics, too, though there were girls with exceptional talent. But the numbers weren't many. Most girls regarding this type of logical memory thinking. Observation and analysis were all slightly weaker, and not interested either. I nodded. Got it. After the exam, join my study group. Winter immediately shook her head. Can't. If you don't want to raise your score, then pretend I didn't say anything. I narrowed my eyes, saying confidently, if you study with me, then next month's exam, your physics and math, each subject will increase at least 10 points. Winter was flustered, her heart struggling internally. I wasn't in a hurry either, because I knew she'd definitely agree. For this little rabbit, I just wanted to say 2 words. Got her. All right, 3 words. When Winter opened her mouth to agree, the corner of my mouth curved up. As expected, she still couldn't escape the temptation of higher scores. living together for years in my past life. I understood her personality clearly. She looked soft on the outside, but inside was very competitive. Winter lay face down on the desk, pulling at her hair, looking extremely troubled. What on earth was she thinking just now? Why did she agree to my condition? If Layla Monroe found out about this, would she be sad? For studying. It was all for studying. Layla Monroe would definitely understand. Winter consoled herself internally. Ding-ling, the class bell rang, cutting off her thoughts. She looked at the comprehensive physics, chemistry, biology test before her, her head immediately aching uncomfortably. I quickly reviewed all the questions. Couldn't help but nod slightly. Honestly, I was somewhat surprised by this test's difficulty, because regardless of which subject, the difficulty was very high. But this was actually better. The harder the test, the lower everyone's scores. 700 points would definitely secure first place in class. The comprehensive test was physics, biology, chemistry. The style. Each type of question's transitions were very abrupt, but didn't affect me at all. With my level 3 knowledge, high school exams were truly small matters. Russell, 23 minutes. I set down my pen. I carefully checked over the entire test once more. The comprehensive section worth 300 points couldn't be careless. People say long time breeds affection. First must solve the long time part. After confirming there were no errors. I didn't submit early, just sat quietly in place. Memories slowly surfacing in my mind. In my past life, though I was with Winter for a long time, I knew absolutely nothing about her family, never met her parents. Every time it was mentioned, she'd just smile and brush it off, quickly changing the subject. What exactly was she hiding? After school ended, I wore my backpack waiting at the school gate. Simple white shirt and black pants, but wearing them gave off an indescribable aura. Many female students passing by kept stealing glances. Oh my God, he's so handsome. Why haven't I noticed someone like him at school before? You all don't know. His name is Dylan Pierce. He's in senior year, science class 2. Heard he's a transfer student. Just arrived not long ago? Transfer student? Don't joke around. How could Thornwood Academy allow transfers? Before these discussions, I just treated them like wind passing by my ears, my eyes still searching at the school gate. See you later. Winter said goodbye to Layla Monroe, putting on her backpack and walking toward the left sidewalk, in her head still thinking about the comprehensive test earlier. She didn't realize at all. Several dozen meters behind, someone was silently following. Walking about 300 meters, Winter turned into a small alley, turning several times in succession, coming out onto the main road nearby. At the end of the road, a black Audi was parked. Winter got in the car. The car started and left very quickly. I stood in the distance watching this scene, a light suddenly flashing in my eyes. The car itself wasn't unusual. In the capital, Audis like this were common. What mattered was the license plate DA6666. The value of this plate number far exceeded the car's value. Had to know that in the capital, just getting a license plate was incredibly difficult. Without real connections, there was no way to get a plate like that. Seemed Winter's family wasn't simple at all. I shook my head lightly, pushing down the doubts in my heart. No matter what Winter's family was like, I didn't care. Maple Avenue, Jade Garden Complex where I lived, was also on this road. Previously, every time going home, I had to take a long detour south. Never expected following Winter today. Would discover a shorter route. From here to school only took about 5 minutes. Saving half the time meant I could sleep a few more minutes. Passing by the market, I bought some vegetables. Getting home and busying myself for about 20 minutes. 2 dishes and a soup were done. Never let my stomach suffer. After eating, continued grinding experience points. The next morning, arriving at school, just stepping into the classroom, I immediately sensed the atmosphere was somewhat unusual. Everyone was very excited, their eyes full of anticipation. Thinking for a moment, I understood immediately, obviously. Everyone was waiting for yesterday's test scores to be announced. 4 great joys in life. Wedding night. Name on the golden list. Meeting old friends far from home. Rain after a long drought. though not yet the college entrance exam, but waiting for scores, had long been ingrained in students' instincts. That was too normal. Walking past Winter's seat, I greeted quietly, "Winter." "Good morning." "Good morning," Winter responded very softly, her voice so gentle I couldn't help but smile lightly. Sitting down, I pulled from my bag a thick idiom dictionary to read. Winter glanced over. Layla Monroe was sitting beside, praying, helplessly turning back, to ask what score I expected. But seeing the dictionary in my hands, she was speechless. Seeing her reaction, I looked up at her. "You're surprised, aren't you? A senior reading this kind of book." "Yeah." Winter nodded lightly. She was indeed thinking exactly that. Senior year should be spent doing practice tests all day, but I was completely the opposite. Every day reading strange, unusual books, so many book titles she'd never even heard of. I smiled casually, raising the idiom dictionary in my hand. For me, no matter what book I read, I'll obtain what I need. This statement was truly accurate. As long as it was a book, I could receive experience points. Of course, Winter didn't know this, but she didn't ask further either, asking me softly, "Dylan Pierce, that last physics question in yesterday's comprehensive test, what answer did you get? The plane, before loading cargo, has mass m. Takeoff speed is v. After loading cargo, mass is m2. Takeoff speed is mg, equal to kv squared." Hearing the answer I gave, Winter immediately deflated. Is it over? Did she get it wrong? In that moment she wanted to cry. Getting it wrong is fine. Seeing her expression, I consoled her. Making mistakes shows what you're missing. Winter sighed lightly. Thanks for the comfort, but her mood was still very bad, her heart aching like it was bleeding. Right then, Derek Yu leaned over, fury blazing in his eyes. This newcomer clinging to Winter again. Damn him. He patted his desk mate Zachary Lin's shoulder, his voice deliberately loud. "Zachary Lin, how many points do you think you got this time?" In the classroom, many eyes immediately looked over. Zachary Lin was somewhat embarrassed, saying quietly, "The test was really hard, at most probably 620. After saying this, he asked Derek Yu back, "What about you?" Little did he know this question was exactly what Derek Yu wanted. Derek Yu raised his voice, pretending to be calm. "Me, I think this time was just average. Probably around 700 points. One statement." The entire class gasped. 700 points. I'd be lucky to get 500. Worthy of being Class 2's academic genius. This time first place is definitely his. So impressive. These praises reached Derek Yu's ears, making him show a smug smile. But when turning toward Winter, his smile immediately froze. Winter paid him no attention at all, still talking with me. This situation made him angry and uncomfortable. I'm just a bit more handsome. Besides that, how am I inferior to him? I clearly saw Derek Yu's expression, looking at Winter with a light smile. He says he can get 700 points. Aren't you surprised? Winter shook her head, affirming he won't get 700. His score is about the same as mine. Can't be that high, unless he'd done this test before. Very good analysis, I praised. I understood Derek Yu's thinking clearly. Just wanted to try attracting her attention. But my little girl was very smart. Dingling, the class bell rang. Winter hurriedly returned to her seat. Ms. Yang walked in, her expression not good. The entire class immediately tensed up. We're done for. Ms. Yang's face looked so bad. This time's results must be terrible. Very likely. Ms. Yang slammed the textbook on the desk hard, saying coldly, "You all have disappointed me greatly." Chapter 24, Perfect Score Test. You all have disappointed me greatly. One sentence made the entire class hold their breath. 104 days left until the college entrance exam. If you all still don't feel the crisis, what will you rely on to get into your dream universities? Ms. Yang's eyes swept across each face, saying coldly, "This time the class has 56 people total. Average score is only 4974. Not even reaching 500. Hearing this average, many people gasped in fear. Finally, they understood why she was so angry. Average below 500. Too low. Previously, the class average was always around 500. This time dropping over 50 points. Not being angry would be strange. Hearing this, I smiled bitterly. Worthy of being Thornwood. Average nearly 500. If, at my old school, the homeroom teacher would be smiling ear to ear. But at Thornwood, the difference was truly terrifying. This was the gap between elite schools and regular schools. All right, now announcing this test's total scores. Ms. Yang took out the score list compiled last night. Beginning to read, Cao Zhishun 481 points. Wang Hao 463 points. Marcus Zhang 399 points. Ms. Yang's face turned cold, glancing at Marcus Zhang, reminding him, Marcus Zhang, do you know how much you dragged down the class average? Because of you. The class average dropped nearly 2 points. Marcus Zhang lowered his head, face red, very ashamed. His grades were already poor. This result was still far from Thornwood's normal standard. Being called out by Ms. Yang like this. His face burned hot, extremely embarrassed. Ms. Yang coldly glanced at Marcus Zhang, then continued announcing scores. Winter Snow 674 points. With Winter's score. No one showed surprise, because she was originally the class's top 1 or 2, frequently ranking in the grade's top 5. Her normal results, always stable above 700 points, considered Harvard material. 604 points for her wasn't considered high. Derek Yu clenched his fists. All along, he and Winter always competed for first place, winning few, losing many. Now seeing Winter only got 674 points, he couldn't help but start worrying. Because earlier he'd boasted that he'd get 700 points. If he couldn't achieve it, that would be so embarrassing. Tam Diep Han, 593 points. Yi Hongyu, 601 points. Reading to here, Ms. Yang paused slightly, glancing at Derek Yu. Immediately Derek Yu's body tensed. Derek Yu, 61 points. Hearing this score, many students showed shock. What's this? Only 600 points. Didn't Derek Yu say he'd get 700 points? So low. Derek Yu's face flushed crimson, standing up abruptly saying, Ma'am, could there be a grading mistake? Why did I only get 651? You also know normally. I'm always above 700. That's normally. Ms. Yang coldly interrupted. The scores have been verified multiple times by teachers. There can't be errors. 651 points is exactly what you scored. Don't know how to self-reflect. What use is asking me? Derek Yu was speechless, his expression like he'd eaten something bitter. If he'd known, just now, he wouldn't have bragged, all because of Dylan Pierce. If not for him, how could he not concentrate? Ms. Yang just finished speaking. The discussions immediately silenced. Zhao Li, 612 points. Dylan Pierce. Ms. Yang paused a beat, slowly reading. 700 points. As the words fell, the entire class exploded. Impossible. 700 points. Didn't he not write the essay? How could he get 700? Derek Yu sprang up like a spring, his voice so loud it strained. Ma'am, this score definitely has problems. Dylan Pierce didn't write the essay, even if all other subjects were perfect. At most, it would only reach 600. Absolutely can't be 700. Marcus Zhang also chimed in. That's right. Rarely did these two unite like this. Who said Dylan Pierce didn't write the essay? Ms. Yang frowned. In the last 10+ minutes, besides the essay section, Dylan Pierce completed the entire Chinese test and scored perfectly. Impossible. Derek Yu's eyes widened. Finishing in 10+ minutes, how is that possible? Not to mention the test was so difficult. How could he not lose a single point? No one could do that. That's right. Too absurd. Not losing a single point. This is like a movie. Even movies wouldn't dare film it like this. Quite a few people began whispering. They also thought like Derek Yu. Not writing the essay. Then the maximum score was only 700. How could he achieve it perfectly? Sounds truly absurd. Bang. Ms. Yang slammed the podium hard, looking coldly at Derek Yu. Are you finished? Derek Yu swallowed. Finished, ma'am. Sit down. Ms. Yang's expression heavy. Dylan Pierce's test. The other teachers and I verified 3 times. There can be no mistake. You all can't do it. Doesn't mean others can't. Throughout all this, I remained very calm. I had the system after all. If I couldn't even do this, I might as well bash my head against tofu and die. Whatever discussions there were, I didn't care. Doubting was their right, but the results wouldn't change. Ms. Yang continued, this exam. Dylan Pierce ranked first in class. Therefore, he has the right to choose his study partner. After school, Sophie Carter, please compile the list. Yes? Sophie Carter responded. Now distributing tests. Everyone review your own mistakes. Ding-ling. The bell rang. Ms. Yang left the classroom. The class immediately became noisy as a market. Oh my God. Really 700 points. Being handsome is one thing, but academic performance this good too. Truly perfect. How can we compete? Not writing the essay, but getting 700 points. Is he even human? These words stabbed Derek Yu's ears like sharp knives. He stood up abruptly, walking to my seat, shouting loudly, You cheated, didn't you? Otherwise, how could you get 700? In an instant, all eyes converged. The corner of my mouth lifted. Looking at Derek Yu like looking at a fool. Your brain short-circuited. Derek Yu was fuming. So angry he couldn't control himself. You. Just about to lunge forward. Another voice rang out behind him. Move aside. Why are you blocking the way? Sophie Carter stepped forward, holding a notebook, asking me, Dylan Pierce, who do you want to form a group with? Winter Snow. I answered clearly. In that instant, all eyes turned this way, so everyone heard clearly. The boys' faces full of sourness, while the girls were full of regret. Why wasn't the chosen one them? Winter's face immediately flushed crimson, her heart nearly collapsing. Can't this guy speak more quietly? Layla Monroe was somewhat stunned. She poked Winter lightly, complaining quietly. Winter, are you really going to abandon me? Winter was about to explain, when I already cut her off. I looked at Winter, then looked back at Winter. Sophie Carter immediately smelled something going on, her face showing a knowing smile. Winter, do you agree? I agree. The last 2 words so soft they were barely audible. Layla Monroe sighed. Sure enough, no one could escape the fate of choosing romance over friendship. She patted Winter's shoulder. But I don't blame you. I'm your best friend after all. Seeing you able to form a group with a handsome guy like Dylan Pierce. I'm very comforted. You? Don't talk nonsense. Winter's face flushed crimson. It's just forming a study group. I understand. Layla Monroe acted like she knew everything, even winking at Sophie Carter. Hey, Sophie Carter, Winter doesn't need me anymore. How about you take me? No problem. Sophie Carter smiled lightly. She wrote my name and Winter's in the same box, then wrote her name and Layla Monroe's together. The entire process was witnessed by Derek Yu. At this moment, the anger in his heart was about to explode. He practically wanted to vomit blood. After lunch, the study groups had been finalized. I got my wish, becoming desk mates with Winter. Inside or outside seat. Either is fine. Inside seat, then, I said. I've cleared it out. You can just sit. Thank you. Winter sat in the inner seat. The first thing she did was use a pencil to draw a line down the middle of the desk. I looked at her in surprise. What's this? This is the boundary line. Winter lowered her head, murmuring. She knew this was somewhat ridiculous, but this was her first time sitting with a boy. Her heart extremely tense. Winter, how can you be so adorable? Chapter 25. Sprint to Harvard. Winter, truly so adorable. As expected, Winter's face reddened again. Dylan Pierce, don't joke like that. Seeing her so easily embarrassed, I didn't tease her further. I took out a problem set I'd compiled myself. This is your physics homework. For today. Remember to submit it to me tomorrow morning. Seeing the problem set before her, Winter was slightly stunned. Clearly this was problems I'd written yesterday. Meaning from yesterday, I already knew I'd rank first. Confidence to a frightening degree. Just thinking of this. Her face reddened again. Oh my God, Winter. You're really done for. Why are you thinking such things? Can't do this. Can't. You still have to test into Harvard. Before the exam, absolutely can't let your mind wander. I waved my hand lightly in front of her, my eyes carrying some indulgence. Why does this girl always like spacing out? But that expression was incredibly cute. From today on, I'll create one math and one physics problem set for you daily. Other subjects will be supplemented depending on the situation. Work hard. Oh, right. My ideal university is also Harvard. After saying this, I opened the idiom dictionary to continue reading. Complex lights flashed in Winter's eyes. Dylan Pierce also wants to test into Harvard. Like, two parallel lines intersecting. Front row, Layla Monroe and Sophie Carter. Sneakily turned to look, exchanging in low voices. Don't you see? Something very suspicious. Really is a bit abnormal. Both of them felt this way, carefully observing the two sitting side by side. Sophie Carter whispered, "Why do I keep feeling like raising a daughter?" Like what? No, probably overthinking. Sophie Carter sat up straight, saying seriously to Layla Monroe, 100 days left until the exam. You can't keep fooling around. From now on, no reading romance novels. What? Just hearing no reading romance novels? Layla Monroe panicked, pleading. Sister Sophie, don't be so strict. Let me enjoy a bit of high school student joy. Rest assured, after the 100-day countdown begins, without you saying, I'll quit on my own. Not negotiable. Sophie Carter showed no mercy, not caring whether Layla Monroe agreed or not, bending down. She rummaged through the desk, taking out all the romance novels, putting them in her bag. After the exam, I'll return them. Layla Monroe froze. She'd struggled so hard to escape little Witch Winter's grasp. Never expected now to fall into Great Demon King Sophie Carter's clutches. Truly cursed fate. Thornwood had no evening self-study, because the principal had incorporated Saturday into it, meaning students only got 1 day off per week, and each day had 8 class periods. Continuously 6 days a week. This could help students maintain study momentum for extended periods, while not feeling overly exhausted. Of course, 10th and 11th graders still had evening study as usual. After 4 p.m., several teachers from science class 2 all gathered in the principal's office. Everyone sat on the sofa, exchanging glances with each other, no one knowing why the principal suddenly called them here. Zhan Chongshan held prepared tea, pouring each person a cup, pulling over a small chair, sitting down comfortably without any formality, his face showing an amiable smile. Teachers, please try the tea. This is premium Dragonwell tea I've been saving. Consider yourselves fortunate. Everyone took a sip. Ms. Yang set down her teacup, asking, Principal, why did you call us here? That's right. Zhan Chongshan nodded. I'll be direct. It's like this. Aren't we approaching the 100-day countdown to the college entrance exam? I reviewed last year's college entrance exam results. Our Thornwood Academy only had 3 people get into Harvard. That number, while not small, isn't good enough. So I have an idea. Establish a Harvard assault class, comprising all 7 science and humanities classes. Each class selects 3 top students, 21 people total. For the teaching team, I've already prepared. I've invited 3 retired Harvard professors to teach the 3 main subjects intensively. As for the 2 secondary subjects, they'll still be handled by each class's teacher. What do you all think? Just hearing this, all the teachers' eyes lit up. Ms. Yang said, Principal, this is a great thing. We naturally have no objections. That's right, Principal. You really have wide connections. Even retired Harvard professors can be invited. Wonderful. Zhan Chongshan waved his hand. Don't celebrate yet. Compared to last year, this year's teaching conditions are much better. So requirements must also be raised. Thornwood's goal this year is for Harvard admissions to be no less than 10 people. All the teachers froze. 10 people. Last year, only 3 people. Now more than tripled. How is that possible? Perhaps difficult. Harvard is the nation's top institution. The cutoff score is always Above 705 points, with extremely small fluctuation. Every year the same. Science and humanities combined. Only 345 students. No wait. Adding the newly transferred Dylan Pierce. That's 346 students, among 346 people. Wanting 10 people to exceed 705 points is truly too difficult. Very, very difficult. College entrance exams are much harder than monthly tests. What's wrong? Lacking confidence. Seeing everyone's reaction, Zhang Chongshen smiled. What are you all afraid of? I know clearly. Science Class 2 has many excellent students. Moreover, now there's a genius student like Dylan Pierce. Mentioning me, he suddenly remembered something. Turning to ask Ms. Yang, I heard your class had a test yesterday. How were the results? How did Dylan Pierce do? Principal? The test was a bit too difficult. Overall results weren't great, Ms. Yang said with a bitter smile. But Dylan Pierce's score was very outstanding. He ranked first in class. Oh, really? Zhang Chongshan was somewhat interested. How many points? My image scoring 700 on the entrance assessment was still very clear in his mind. That kind of achievement he'd only encountered once. Not only that, I also had extremely stable psychology. He'd never worried about me having test anxiety. Truly the steel-nerved student type, 700 points. Ms. Yang stated the number. Hearing this, the principal's brow furrowed immediately. He didn't require me to always score 750, but 700 was truly lower than his expectations. According to him, I should score at least 730. Was there an anomaly? Zhang Chongshan asked. At entrance he scored perfectly. Why only 700 this time? Hearing him say this, Ms. Yang and the other teachers simultaneously swallowed. Previously, they'd asked the principal about my scores, but the principal only mentioned individual subject scores, not the total. No one expected. I'd passed the entrance exam with a perfect score. No wonder. No wonder a student like me was admitted to Thornwood, a student this excellent, who wouldn't want them. Ms. Yang explained with a bitter smile. Principal, Dylan Pierce just didn't write the essay. Excluding the 50-point essay, he didn't lose a single point. Then that's correct. Zhang Chongshan didn't ask further. As long as my exam state was stable, he was completely reassured. Speaking frankly, he placed very high expectations on me. His expression was extremely serious. Mr. Chen said this year's capital entrance exam will use the national test. This is also the first time the capital has applied the national test. I hope this year's national top scorer will emerge from Thornwood. The entire office fell silent as death. Chapter 26. Little Winter. Am I handsome? Close to dismissal time, Ms. Yang entered the classroom. Students in self-study simultaneously looked up. There's an important announcement. After the school meeting's decision, senior year will establish a Harvard assault class. The 3 main subjects of the Harvard assault class will be taught directly by 3 retired Harvard professors. Until before the college entrance exam, just as she finished speaking, the entire class immediately erupted. Retired Harvard professors. My God, that's really a big move. I'm going, so impressive. Even retired Harvard professors can be invited. But that's not the main point. The main point is only 3 people. I'm speechless. Too amazing. If you get into the Harvard assault class, doesn't that mean you have hope of getting into Harvard? You're overthinking, friend. Hearing this news, Winter's eyes lit up brightly. Could it be such a good opportunity? I absolutely can't miss it. The teaching level of Harvard professors needs no doubt. Over 3 months left until the college entrance exam. That much time is enough for me to improve greatly. This opportunity absolutely cannot be missed. Watching her reaction, I could only sigh helplessly. Just became desk mates with her. I haven't accomplished anything yet. Now this Harvard assault class appears out of nowhere. The school is truly ridiculously idle. Looking at Winter's expression, she definitely wants to join the assault class. In that case, I'm also forced to participate. But if we both enter that class, can we still be desk mates? That's what worries me most. As for the Harvard assault class itself, I don't really care much. Joining, or not joining, makes no difference to me. What matters is Winter. If she goes in, I'll go in too. Looks like I need to think of a way to get her to agree to sit with me in the assault class. That's the key point. After thinking this through, I lightly poked Winter's elbow. The soft sensation made me sigh. Girls really are made of water. As for boys, steel and concrete or what? Winter looked up, her eyes carrying doubt. I smiled softly. Little Winter, the Harvard assault class, Ms. Yang mentioned. Do you want to join? Of course I want to. She blinked, saying softly. Such a good opportunity to improve. Of course I should participate. Just don't know yet what the conditions for entering the assault class are. Then let's discuss this. Okay, go ahead. After entering the assault class, we'll still be desk mates, okay? Ah, this. I shrugged. My already handsome features combined with the serious look now was truly the heart-killing type for young girls. Winter looked straight into my eyes, her heart seeming to skip beats, her cheeks gradually reddening, like ripe apples, making people just want to take a bite. I'm not even sure I can get in. It's fine. I smiled faintly, my voice low and deep. You go in, I go in. You don't go in? I don't go in either. But no matter what, you must sit next to me. Understand. Understand. She stared at me dumbly. This kind of unconsciously domineering style was fatal damage to girls, and she was clearly a girl, seeing her spacing out again. Her dazed, adorable appearance made me want to laugh. She really was raised on cuteness. Coming back to herself, Winter felt something was wrong. Her face flushed crimson, lowering her head, not daring to look at me. Is this called negotiation? I don't care. You agreed anyway. My tone stating it like an undeniable truth. Winter secretly thought I was truly a scoundrel. Who talks like that? She stole a glance at me, muttering inside. It's just being handsome. And academically excellent. What's so impressive? No, wait. Seems very impressive. Who says he's handsome? Not handsome at all. Really not handsome one bit. She deceived herself for comfort. But when her eyes fell on my profile, she couldn't look away. I curved my lips slightly, tapping my finger lightly on the desk. Little Winter, am I handsome? Handsome? Just after saying it, her face flushed so red it seemed about to combust. Oh my God, I'm done for. I'm truly poisoned. Can't be saved anymore. She stole a glance at me. Sure enough, I was smiling at her, wanting to crawl underground and hide. I was possessed. To say those words just now. Right at this moment, front row, Derek Yu raised his hand asking, Ma'am, how can we get into the Harvard assault class? This was also the question everyone was curious about. Senior year has over 300 people. Can't let everyone into the so-called Harvard assault class. There must be conditions. All students perked up their ears listening. Very simple. 2 weeks from now will be the monthly exam. In this monthly exam, whoever ranks top 3 in their class can enter the Harvard assault class. That's it. Top 3? I'll just continue being a screen then. Isn't this differential treatment? Too unfair. When Ms. Yang clearly stated the requirements for entering the assault class. Over half the class showed defeated expressions. How difficult is getting into the top 3? Of course, a few students showed some irritation, thinking the school was showing favoritism. Ms. Yang's eyes turned cold, staring at those who'd just spoken up, her voice full of challenge. What? Did the school not let you study? Or not let you work hard? If you think it's unfair, when others were working hard, what were you doing? Now talking about fairness. Too late, had to say. Ms. Yang's aura was too strong. The entire class fell silent. She sat at the podium, announcing, Everyone participates in this monthly exam. It's fair competition. Whether you can enter the assault class depends on your actual ability. Without ability, blame no one. Don't complain about heaven or others. Want to go far, must work hard yourself. Only heaven understands me. All right. These 2 days prepare well. Sharpen your weapons before battle. Better late than never. Continue self-study. The next day, I arrived at school. Just sat down, hadn't even greeted Winter yet. Already saw Ms. Yang walk in. Quite a few students were puzzled. Class hasn't started yet. Why is Ms. Yang already here? Dylan Pierce, come out with me. After saying this, she turned and left the classroom. Quite a few people looked at me, their faces full of doubt. Could I have made a mistake? Being called out by Ms. Yang wasn't a good thing. Many students had schadenfreude flashing in their eyes, including Derek Yu. They said, "Student genius Dylan just arrived, already being called out by the homeroom teacher. Truly different from others." The sarcasm very obvious. I paid no attention at all, not bothering to glance at Derek Yu, directly standing up and walking out. Derek Yu's face alternated between pale and red, his eyes seeming to shoot flames. If I'd argued back, perhaps he'd feel less angry, but I didn't bother looking at him. That's what he couldn't stand. After all, he was Class 2's academic star. When had he been looked down upon like this? Uncle can endure, but Aunt cannot. Just wait. Derek Yu's face darkened, telling himself, this monthly exam, first place will definitely be mine. Winter watched my retreating figure, a hint of worry in her eyes. She didn't realize at all. Her own feelings had changed. Chapter 27. Top Scorer Seed. Leaving the classroom, Ms. Yang said nothing, leading me to the principal's office. Come in, sit down. Just seeing me, Principal Jean smiled warmly, making even Ms. Yang surprised. Was this still the usually cold principal? I stood beside Ms. Yang, no intention of sitting. I asked, Principal, what did you need me for? That's right. Principal Zan spoke directly. About the Harvard assault class. You probably already know, right? I know. I nodded, unclear what the principal wanted to say, a hint of doubt appearing in my eyes, but still answering honestly. Ms. Yang already mentioned it yesterday. Calling you here today is mainly to say, you don't need to take this monthly exam. You can directly enter the assault class. Principal John had his reasons. Through the entrance exam and the previous class test, my level had been verified. I was a top scorer seed, not bragging. As long as I maintained my current form, college entrance exam top scorer was within reach. Such an excellent student absolutely couldn't be exposed too early. If I performed too outstandingly in the monthly exam, news would spread. To the principal of Jade Clear Academy. After all, Thornwood had many students. Very hard to hide. Now, with over 3 months until the college entrance exam, if the other side pulls some tricks, they'd only be left crying. There had been such incidents before, because of those bloody lessons. This time absolutely couldn't let it happen. After hearing this, my expression didn't change. I shook my head. Sorry, Principal. I can't accept this arrangement. Why? The principal was somewhat stunned. Logically, no one would refuse such a good opportunity. Yet I refused. Even Ms. Yang was shocked. She reminded me, this is a good thing. Why would you refuse? I asked back. Then why should I accept? I smiled lightly, asking back. Does the principal and you think, based on my grades, I can't earn a spot in the Harvard assault class myself? Not needing the monthly exam, but directly entering the assault class, is unfair to other students, and also unfair to me. If I accept this offer, then in everyone's eyes, I'd be using backdoor connections, relying on relationships to advance. But actually, there's no need for that. With my ability, I can easily make the class top 3. I can enter the assault class legitimately. Why use methods that can't be brought to light? I'm not stupid. Jean Chongshan explained softly. Dylan Pierce, the reason we want you to directly enter the assault class isn't because we don't trust your grades, but because we trust your ability too much. That's why we made such a decision. Ms. Yang nodded in agreement. With your current level, you completely don't need to take the monthly exam. Just maintain your state. Wait for the college entrance exam to come. I shook my head. I refuse. When both finished speaking, I refused once more. The two looked at each other, their faces somewhat awkward, especially Jean Chongshan. Besides embarrassment, he was very frustrated. Last night, he received many calls from parents, all about assault class spots. No matter. how many benefits they promised. He refused them all, yet when it came to Dylan Pierce, offering it free, he still didn't want it. He could only sigh. Just as Jian Chongshan was about to speak, I said, "Principal, just speak honestly. Are you afraid I'll test too well? Then get poached by other schools? Living a second life." It only took me 1 second to see through everything. In my past life, I'd seen plenty of news about student poaching. Don't think only universities poach students. That's narrow thinking. High school is the most intense time. Students with top scorer potential are invaluable resources. The two stared wide-eyed, fear showing clearly on their faces. Seeing this reaction, I smiled casually, my still youthful face showing maturity and composure, creating a very strange feeling. "I have a proposal. Wonder if the principal wants to hear it." "Go ahead." Zhang Chengshan became even more curious. I spoke gently. "Today is Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. The monthly exam papers are already prepared, right?" "Correct. Continue. If the papers are ready, then I can take them now. That way, no matter what I score. You can announce it as you wish. For example, if I score 750 points, you can adjust it down to 720 or 710. My only requirement is to beat first place by just 1 point. Why only 1 point? Very simple. I don't want to lose. That's all. With a system like a cheat code, no matter what, I can't lose to others. If I lost, wouldn't that be embarrassing? To the system." Zhang Chongshan thought for a moment, finally nodding. "Acceptable. But I'll say this first. If you don't do well, can't get into the assault class, don't blame me. You can still change your mind now. Want to reconsider?" The words clearly carried persuasion. I didn't respond, just naturally sat down on the sofa, smiling at Ms. Yang. "Ms. Yang, could you go get the monthly exam papers?" Principal Zhan was speechless. I fundamentally wasn't tempted. Ms. Yang was somewhat helpless. Last night, receiving the principal's call, she'd thought it was just a notification. Never expected things to turn out like this. She looked at Zhang Chongshan, her eyes seeking instruction. He helplessly waved his hand. "Go find Group Leader Li to get the papers." "Yes, sir." Ms. Yang left the room. Just a few minutes later, she returned. In her hands were 4 sets of exam papers. "Begin." Zhang Chongshan looked at his watch. "It's now 8 a.m. Give me 2 hours. That's enough." My words made the principal's unspoken sentence catch in his throat. He remembered the entrance exam. 2 hours. Might truly be enough. I grabbed the pen on the coffee table, casually taking the top set of papers, then began, writing fast as flying. Ms. Yang stood beside, watching the scene before her, somewhat dazed, not reading the questions, not carefully checking requirements. How can you solve without reading? But I, before her eyes, wasn't reading the questions at all. Just finished writing one answer, immediately starting the next. Between questions, I had no pauses whatsoever. This situation was exactly like when I did the test at the classroom door before. This testing method could only be seen in me. It truly didn't conform to common sense. Principal Zhang Chongshan wasn't much better. When I took the entrance exam, he didn't witness me taking it firsthand, now witnessing me testing like this. His expression was also extremely rich. Simply put, it was hard to accept. How could anyone test like this? Ms. Yang had no classes today, so she decisively wasn't leaving. She herself pulled over a chair to sit beside, crossing her arms, clearly wanting to watch. Exactly what I could do. 750 points, huh? If testing like this could get 750 points, then maybe he'd eat the desk. Actually, better forget that vow. I truly was somewhat unpredictable. Chapter 28, Abnormal. Essay in 23 minutes, including the essay. Both the principal and Ms. Yang looked at each other. Seeing me start on math, their eyes both revealed obvious shock. How could this be? Chinese finished in 23 minutes. The principal signaled Ms. Yang with his eyes. She immediately understood. Taking my Chinese test with the essay section. Going outside. Walking to Chinese teacher Li Wenxing's office. Knock knock. "Come in." Ms. Yang pushed the door open. Teacher Li Wenqing saw Ms. Yang, immediately stood up smiling. Ms. Yang, what can I do for you? Yes, that's right. Ms. Yang placed the test before him. Speaking frankly, Teacher Li, please help grade this. No problem. He didn't ask further, sitting down to begin grading. At first it was normal. The more he read, the more shocked his expression became. Reaching the final essay section. Besides Yuv, on his face, there was only Yu. Absolutely magnificent. Teacher Li took a deep breath, his voice carrying undisguised excitement. Ms. Yang, who wrote this? Dylan Pierce. No wonder he reacted this way. Ms. Yang asked with some anticipation. Teacher Li, what's the score? Perfect score. Teacher Li looked at the test in shock. Not a single weakness anywhere. Especially the essay, written extremely excellently. Ms. Yang already knew the result couldn't be bad, but when truly hearing the words, perfect score, she still couldn't help but become Chinese perfect score. If it were math or English, that would be easier to understand. But this was Chinese. My God, what am I? Thank you, Teacher Li. Ms. Yang nodded in farewell, then left, just returning to the principal's office. Before she could report the results, her eyes unconsciously fell on me taking the test. Her entire being froze. Beside my right hand was the completed math test. The test I was doing now was English. She looked at the clock, from when she left to returning. Only 14 minutes had passed. In 14 minutes I'd finished math. Besides, there was some numbness. I was truly abnormal. The principal saw her standing dazed, could only smile lightly. Not just Ms. Yang, even he was the same. This monthly exam was extremely difficult, harder than any previous exam, yet I completed it as casually as drinking water. He'd met countless students, but never anyone like me. He could be certain, even senior year teachers, taking this test, couldn't complete it in dozens of minutes. A child truly impossible to see through. The principal muttered, his eyes looking at me extremely complex. He'd reviewed my previous school records. Past scores were all very average, sometimes even poor, but now, completely opposite, as if before. And now we're two different people. Ms. Yang placed the Chinese test before the principal, not saying a word, continuing to take the math test, then going outside. A moment later, when the principal saw the bright red 150 before his eyes, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly, whispering to himself, "What kind of monster is this?" Ms. Yang looked at me, passionate fire flashing in her eyes, with my ability completely capable of competing for this year's national top scorer. If I won top scorer, the school's reputation would explode. She, as the homeroom teacher, would naturally also be elevated to a new level. Who wouldn't like a student like me? I calmly picked up the next English test, looking up at Ms. Yang. Teacher, come here. The first 3 tests only took me 54 minutes. Miss Yang, from the pen holder on the principal's desk, found a red pen, sitting down on the single chair, beginning to grade the English test. Correct, correct, correct. In less than 4 minutes. She'd already set down her pen. The bright red numbers on the test looked even more dazzling. Under 50, another perfect score. Ms. Yang took a deep breath, standing up to place the test before Zhang Chongshan. Here, principal. Does a student like this really need to enter the Harvard Assault class? The Harvard Assault class mainly tutored the 3 subjects, Chinese, math, foreign language, supplementing and cultivating key points. But Dylan Pierce's level fundamentally didn't need it. Though retired Harvard professors were excellent, meeting such an excessively outstanding student, they'd probably also be helpless. How do you teach a student with no weaknesses? Truly abnormal. Indeed so. I was doing the comprehensive science test. My writing motion paused slightly, looking up at the 2 protesting. Principal, Ms. Yang, can't you say nicer things in front of me? At the same time, I raised my eyebrows slightly, smiling. I call this excellent. Excellent, as in the outstanding of outstanding flowers and beauty. Zhang Chongshan and Ms. Yang were left speechless. I smiled casually. continuing to focus on the comprehensive test before me. Writing speed frighteningly fast. Done. A few minutes later, I set down my pen, raising the comprehensive test in my hand. This action made the two fall silent again. Too fast. Did this kid accidentally eat rat poison? Not to mention perfect scores. Perfect scores were already terrifying. What mattered was, I completed it in an absurdly short time. This made it even more exaggerated. Why are you two looking at me like that? I blinked calmly, saying casually, Do I have flowers on my face? If there's nothing else, I'll excuse myself back to class. Not giving them time to react, I stood up and left the office, watching my figure gradually disappear. Zhan Chongshan leaned back slightly, his fingers tapping lightly on the desk. Ms. Yang, next week's monthly exam. I'm very much looking forward to Class 2's results. Now that we have Dylan Pierce, I hope this time Class 2 can surpass Class 1. I hope so. Ms. Yang nodded, but didn't have much confidence inside. This time Class 1 had many top students. Always had 4 people in the grade's top 10. Class 2 besides Winter and Derek Yu. Others couldn't squeeze into the top 10 at all. Even adding me, that was only 3 people. Returning to class, just as I sat down, Winter's small, soft hand poked me twice under the desk. Where did you just go? Missing me already. My long hair lightly covering half my eyes. My smile carrying some teasing. Exactly the type to make hearts flutter. Winter's face went blank for a moment. In an instant her emotions changed continuously. Her tender fair face, revealing some heart-stirring meaning. This appearance truly was enough to topple kingdoms. Winter's face flushed with embarrassment, hurriedly glancing around, seeing everyone concentrating on the lecture, only then breathing a sigh of relief. Classmate Dylan Pierce, please don't joke like that anymore in the future. After saying this, she turned away, ignoring me. I felt somewhat defeated. Just joking one sentence. Eventually we'll be family anyway. I lightly tugged her sleeve, saying quietly, Sorry, okay. I won't say that anymore. Don't be angry. Winter looked seriously at the board. Not responding. She didn't hate me, but that didn't mean she accepted that kind of joke. Just one sentence from me had changed her image of me. Too flirtatious, Playboy confirmed. Her fondness level originally, 70 points. Now cut in half. If I knew what she was thinking, I'd definitely slap myself. Loose lips truly bring disaster. Just now I went to the principal's office to take some tests. Seeing she wasn't saying anything, I decided to drop big news. Leaning closer a bit, immediately crossing the desk boundary line, saying quietly, Those were the monthly exam papers. Finally, Winter reacted, but seeing my hand cross the boundary, her eyes turned cold, her clear voice saying, Please move away from me. The boundary is so clear, can't you see it? This time, I'd truly angered her. Really troublesome. I looked at my arm crossing the boundary. Slap, hitting myself hard. Loose lips and hands both troublesome. The slapping sound rang out clearly, immediately drawing the class's attention, including the physics teacher at the podium. Dylan Pierce, what are you doing? I stood up answering. Sir, I was killing a mosquito. My tone very calm. Not the slightest bit guilty. Winter glanced at me. She pouted slightly. All lies flowing from his mouth. Definitely not a good person. Seems I need to distance myself from him. It's only late March now. Temperature just over 10 degrees. What mosquitoes could there be? Who's he fooling? But the person was me. For excellent students. Especially excellent like me. Teacher's tolerance would be very high. Mr. Harrison was the same. Killing mosquitoes is fine, but don't make loud noises. Will affect others studying. Mr. Harrison signaled for me to sit down, then pointed at the board content, continuing the lecture. Everyone look at this part. I sat down, looking at Winter helplessly, sighing inside. She was still as hard to approach as in my past life. When Winter first entered the company, the men in the company were like they'd been injected with adrenaline. They'd never seen such a beautiful girl. Everyone completely changed their image. Hair no longer greasy, beards all cleanly shaved, clothes worn neat and proper. just to make a good impression before her, hoping for a chance. But Winter wouldn't even glance at them once. He even set a special record. What record? For half a year in the company. Besides me, she'd never spoken a single word to any man. It wasn't until over a year later that she gradually warmed up to me. The reason was very simple. The way I looked at her was different from others. Pure, without lust. At that time, she felt very comfortable. Later, she told me so. I understood. I finally realized. Winter was very guarded against unfamiliar opposite sex. More accurately, vigilant. I sighed lightly. Seems, in the future. Must be careful when interacting with her. If I go too far, my future wife will run away. After school, Winter lay on the desk copying notes. Her petite figure paired with gentle temperament made one just want to hold her and cherish her. I took the initiative. Winter, did you finish the physics homework I gave you yesterday? Here. Winter took it from her desk drawer and gave it to me. From now on, you don't need to teach me anymore. And limit talking to me, too. Thank you for your cooperation. After saying this, she continued lowering her head to study. I could only remain silent, feeling frustrated for several minutes. Then focusing on the physics homework, I picked up my pen to start correcting. Speed not fast. Whenever encountering mistakes, I'd pause my pen, writing annotations beside the answers, also noting the thinking process and foundational knowledge. Until the class bell rang. I'd only corrected half. Chinese class, teacher Li Wenqing walked in. His first glance immediately stopped on me. In his mind, probably still remembering the essay I wrote, if Ms. Yang hadn't told him beforehand, he absolutely wouldn't believe a high school student could write an essay so excellent. It was that impressive. Unimaginable. Unbelievably ridiculous. This class was about essay writing techniques. He wrote 4 words, essay writing methods, on the board, then asked if anyone had experience. They wanted to share. No one answered. No one planned to stand up either. Just write. What methods? I lowered my head correcting homework. Looking at the last difficult problem, I frowned, muttering, this girl really has poor physics foundation. Even got this question wrong. Winter heard very clearly, her lashes trembling, feeling somewhat irritated inside. This way of calling this girl. Normally only her dad called her that. Too much. But though irritated, she still didn't react, because the teacher was looking in our direction. No one volunteering. The teacher designated someone. Teacher Lee smiled. Dylan Pierce. Stand up and share. All eyes focused on me. Quite a few people still looking forward to the show. If he speaks poorly, he'll lose face. Not them. As for me, still lowering my head writing annotations, didn't hear the teacher call. Dylan Pierce. Dylan Pierce. I made an sound, finally looking up slightly. Eyes still on the homework, voice calm. Sir, what is it? My hand not stopping. Share your essay writing skills with the whole class. All right. I just spoke without thinking. Freefall motion is uniformly accelerated, straight-line motion, with initial velocity equal to 0, following the law of variable motion. The entire class exploded like a disturbed beehive. Has this guy gone crazy? Probably about to get trained. In Chinese class, I answered with physics formulas, making the whole class laugh. Winter hesitated slightly, under the desk, lightly kicking me, whispering quietly, It's Chinese class now. Look at the board. Only then did I react. Looking up, immediately frozen, just when everyone was waiting to see me scolded. A scene that shocked everyone occurred. Teacher Li Wenqing wasn't angry at all, instead smiling. Dylan Pierce, we're studying Chinese now. Answer my question first, then do physics after. Oh my God. The entire class stared wide-eyed, minds exploding. Turns out you can do physics homework during Chinese class. This must be a dream. A male student pinched his deskmate's thigh hard, making the other person's face contort, features twisting. What are you doing? I'm checking if I'm dreaming. Why not pinch yourself? I'm afraid it'll hurt, idiot. Many students full of doubt. What's going on? Chapter 30. Care breeds chaos. Derek Yu showed a cold smile. He thought I was about to lose face. He was happier than New Year's. Someone with the same thoughts as him was Marcus Zhong. Both he and Derek Yu found me very irritating. I was getting too close to Winter, and Winter's attitude toward me seemed different from other male students. Couldn't say exactly how it was different, but this feeling truly existed. Both felt threatened. In the classroom, countless eyes watched me. If it were another student, they'd be too nervous to speak. But I remained calm, not showing anything on my face. I looked at the 4 words on the board, thoughts turning, knowledge points immediately appearing in my mind. My voice steady and clear, making people unable to help but concentrate. Writing techniques mainly divide into conception, structure, and use of materials. Speaking of conception first, if it's a topic with a ready-made title, then conceive according to keywords. If it's an argumentative essay based on materials, must read from multiple angles to understand the question setter's intent, then select the clearest angle for conception. Don't be too stubborn. Also, don't explore too many directions. Just need one sentence to determine the theme. Regarding structure, before writing, need to outline. Know how many paragraphs the essay has, what content each paragraph writes. For example, argumentative essays. First paragraph states the argument. Second paragraph uses modern examples as evidence. Third paragraph still uses evidence but changes examples. Can cite ancient examples. Fourth paragraph cites foreign examples. Last paragraph summarizes the entire essay. If it's narrative, can use time sequence or event progression to write. I spoke continuously for nearly 10 minutes. When I stopped, still wanting to say more, everyone stared at me stunned, mouths gaping, faces full of disbelief. This actually works. They could be certain. I wasn't listening to the lecture at all just now, yet opening my mouth, I could speak immediately. Too frightening. Winter sitting beside me, her eyes full of "Shah!" So impressive. She immediately reminded herself. Can't do this. Must stay clear-headed. Don't let appearance and talent blind you. This guy is an emotional fraud. Excellent. Under teacher Li Wenqing's lead, applause filled the room. Derek Yu and Marcus Zhang, faces like they'd eaten something hard to swallow. Both hadn't expected. I could actually answer. Clearly wasn't listening just now. Too absurd. Teacher Li told me to sit down, not sparing praise. Just now, Dylan Pierce presented very well. These are all good writing techniques. Everyone should learn from this. All right, next I'll continue lecturing. The dismissal bell rang. Winter just stood up when I lightly pulled her back. What coincidence. I happened to grab her soft, smooth hand. Let go. Winter paused a beat. Then, as if electrocuted, quickly pulling her hand back, her fair, tender face carrying coldness, but with that delicate face, the coldness became even more adorable, carrying a special flavor. I sensed something wrong. Quickly explaining. Don't misunderstand. I just wanted to return your physics homework. While saying this, I placed the corrected homework on her desk. I annotated all the mistakes clearly. Take time to look at it. Will help quite a bit. Winter looked at me, then at the homework, her eyes softening slightly. Thank you, but no need to trouble yourself like this in the future. Not troublesome, I can for you. Getting to here, I immediately realized something was off. I immediately changed my tone. As classmates, being classmates, helping each other is what we should do. Moreover, we're also desk mates. Winter said nothing, pulling her chair to leave. I extended my hand, blocking the space behind, testing with a soft voice. Winter, I don't think I said anything wrong. Move aside. I want to go out. Go out for what? Winter said quietly. She wanted to use the bathroom. Use the bathroom. This sentence was hard for her to say directly to me. She said, I have a slight stomachache. After saying this, even turning her head elsewhere, her soft voice carrying embarrassment. Can you move aside now? Truly care breeds chaos. Not wrong at all. After Winter left the classroom, I grabbed an advanced math problem set. planning to seize a few minutes to gain experience. Before I could even open the book, already hearing a mocking voice from the front. "Oh, quite the schemer, aren't you?" Derek Yu laughed coldly. He used his hand to tap on my desk, looking down at me from above. "Dylan Pierce, dare to bet with me," his voice very loud, making quite a few people turn to watch. I put down the book, lazily looking at him. "Why should I bet with you? Gambling is illegal. You're a senior. Don't you even know this?" Derek Yu froze. This kind of casual attitude was most infuriating, making him feel like punching cotton, extremely uncomfortable. I haven't even stated the conditions yet. "Are you already scared?" Derek Yu's face full of contempt, saying loudly. "Are you a man or not? If you're a man, bet with me." Sorry, I wasn't angry at all, just calmly saying, "I'm just a boy, not yet a man." After saying this, I raised my eyebrows. You understand what I mean. Oh, quite a few male students made suggestive sounds. Derek Yu's face flushed crimson. I curved my lips in a faint smile, not bothering with him anymore, lowering my head to read. Derek Yu wouldn't let it go. He snatched the book from my hands, this time betting on monthly exam scores. Whoever scores higher is the other's boss. From now on, when meeting, must call the other boss. No matter where, must call them that. "You dare?" I looked at him helplessly. Honestly, I didn't want to deal with this childish stuff, but this persistent type really annoyed me. "I don't provoke you, yet you keep clinging to me. Are you sick? You know what you can do." "Huh?" The sudden question left Derek Yu stunned. I leisurely picked my ear, smiling. "I can't accept someone who can't do anything as my underling." He truly exploded. Too much. Damn it. He'd always been the arrogant one, now being treated this way by me. The role reversal was too fast. Couldn't take it anymore. I really went a bit overboard. But his father's company was worth hundreds of millions, and I told him he was useless. That tone, like I'd already won, was truly unlikable. Some female students laughed lightly. "What do you boys know? This is called confidence." My God, the more I look, the more handsome he seems. Preparing for the next class, Derek Yu lost patience, saying coldly, "Do you dare or not? Seeing you so eager to be an underling, I'll give you the chance. One word settles it." "I agree." He turned and left. I just shook my head, picking up the book to continue reading. Bet, then bet. Either way, I won't lose. Competing on scores, huh? He didn't know that. First place this time was already mine. Chapter 31. I really wasn't lying to you. Before the class bell, Winter returned to class. She didn't talk to me, just looking at the physics homework before her. Her heart somewhat complex. The dense annotations covering the homework made her silent. Honestly, I was different from other male students. Other male students looked at her, their eyes always carrying some impure thoughts. But not me. I looked at her very naturally, sometimes even carrying a sense of indulgence, like looking at a daughter. This made Winter feel puzzled. We'd only known each other a short time. Why would there be that feeling? Perhaps she was overthinking. After school in the afternoon, the scene, emptier than usual, because today was Saturday. 10th and 11th graders got the day off, only seniors. Still remained fighting. The weather began warming up. The willow trees outside the gate had sprouted, the tender green adding some vitality to the city. I stood under the willow tree canopy before the gate, my eyes watching the school entrance, the crowd gradually thinning, the school gate becoming quiet. I wasn't in a hurry. From observing these past days, I knew Winter didn't like walking with crowds. She usually waited an extra 5 or 6 minutes before leaving, avoiding the busiest time, then stepping out, as expected. It's 5:38. Under the slanting evening light, her figure appeared at the school gate. Her petite form in a white hoodie looked even softer, her whole body seeming to shrink a size smaller. Only the bit of cute baby fat on her face kept her from looking too frail. The instant I saw Winter, my eyes were already full of tenderness. In my past life, I couldn't give her an answer. In this life, I want to walk with her to the very end. Winter lowered her head, walking with light, small steps, leaving the school's tense academic atmosphere, her mood seeming much more relaxed, her soft humming rising like a familiar melody, the gentle sound like heavenly music descending, making listeners unconsciously want to slow down and listen. As if carrying a kind of magic, I walked behind her. The corner of my mouth couldn't help but curve up. Her singing was still so pleasant. The first time I heard her sing was at a karaoke room before. At that time, my securities company had just signed a major client. As the boss, I took all the employees out for food and singing. The company only had 12 people. At the KTV, a group of men enthusiastically urged, insisting Winter must sing a song. She couldn't easily refuse, so she sang Legend, immediately shocking everyone. Also at that moment, in my heart, a different feeling for her emerged. Now, hearing her voice again, that feeling surged up once more. While I was still immersed in memories, suddenly bumped into the petite body ahead. I looked up and met Winter's vigilant gaze. "Why are you following me?" When entering the small alley, she'd already noticed me walking behind. Her mood immediately tensed, she told herself, perhaps just walking the same way. But when she turned into the alley, I followed too. Being a girl followed by a male student, she panicked, not daring to go deeper into the alley, quietly picking up a piece of wood by the wall, about 2 feet long, preparing to strike first, thus creating this scene. I came back to myself, seeing her holding the stick with both hands, eyes full of vigilance. I could only smile bitterly. If I said we're going the same way, would you believe me? "Do you think I'm stupid?" she said coldly, pointing to the alley entrance 12 meters away. "Didn't you just arrive in the capital not long ago? Not taking the main road, but taking an alley? Definitely up to no good." But seeing my clear eyes, she wavered slightly. A person with bad intentions. How could they have such clean eyes? I'm really going the same way. Can you give me a chance to prove it? Seeing me serious, she hesitated, then nodded slightly. How do you plan to prove it? Simple, follow me. I curved my lips in a smile, then walked ahead. She kept about a meter's distance, clearly still not fully trusting. I didn't mind either. Since discovering this shortcut, I took it daily, so familiar I could navigate with eyes closed. Left turn, then right a few times. We'd reached Maple Avenue. Winter walked behind. Seeing me walk so skillfully, she mostly believed me. I stopped, pointing toward the Jade Garden complex gate over 200 meters away. I explained. My rental is in that complex. This route is fastest. Don't misunderstand. After saying this, I pulled her to a car parked by the road, raising my hand to tap the window. The window lowered. In the driver's seat was a man in a black suit, about 30 years old, carrying an unmistakable tough aura. The instant I saw him, my heart stirred slightly, as expected. The air about him gave me the feeling of a discharged serviceman. That steel temperament too obvious. Just now he'd noticed me and Winter. He guessed I was her classmate. Couldn't help but be surprised. In his impression, the young miss after school had never walked with friends, especially boys. More surprising still was that I dared hold her hand. This matter could be big or small. He understood very well how much the master treasured her, would pluck stars from the sky, if he could for her. If the master knew about this, his driver position might not be secure. This afternoon, his first impression of me wasn't great. He looked at me and nodded at Winter, calling her Miss. Flustered by my actions, Winter lightly pulled her hand back, but couldn't break free. Hearing Uncle Zhang, the driver, ask, her cheeks flushed like peach blossoms, she said softly, "Uncle Zhang, this is my classmate." After saying this, irritatedly glancing at me, her voice soft as a mosquito continuing, "Let me go." "Not yet." I smiled calmly. I nodded at Uncle Zhang. "Uncle Zhang, please drive to the Jade Garden complex gate ahead. Winter's classmate wants to come to my place to get study materials. At most, just a few minutes delay." After saying this, I didn't give her a chance to react, holding her hand and pulling her toward the complex gate, being stared at by passers-by. Winter's ears flushed crimson, not daring to look up. Can't I trust you? Can you let me go? At the end, her voice carried some pleading. Since childhood, she'd never had any friends of the opposite sex, much less like now, holding a boy's hand right on the street. If there were a crack in the ground, she'd definitely crawl in immediately. I stopped, my face under the sunset glow becoming clearer and sharper. I can let go, but you can't run. I just want to prove I didn't lie to you. I won't run. Chapter 32. Call me Winter. I won't run. Hearing these 3 words, I immediately released her hand. Winter's eyes flashed with surprise, asking softly, Aren't you afraid I'll run? Not afraid? I shook my head lightly. Follow me. Won't take too much of your time. After saying this, I stepped through the complex gate. Winter turned to look at the car in the distance, then at my retreating figure, lightly stomping once, her pretty face showing hesitation and struggle, finally still following. She didn't know how to lie, and I, precisely because I understood this, felt so at ease. I didn't walk fast. Soon, she was walking alongside me. We reached building 3, climbing to the 4th floor. Winter was breathing so hard, her shoulders trembled slightly. She rarely exercised, almost all her time spent studying. Climbing stairs was truly rare for her. Even in memory had never happened. I reached to remove the backpack from my back, gripping one strap, extending the other strap toward her. Hold this, I'll pull you up. Winter hesitated slightly. She lightly placed her hand on the backpack strap. Reaching the 6th floor, I took out keys to unlock the door. As the door opened, Winter completely confirmed I hadn't lied to her. She stood at the door, not daring to enter. I turned back, seeing her still hesitating, smiling. Scared, not scared. She looked up at me, her fair, smooth face carrying apology. Sorry, earlier. I misunderstood you. I said sorry. It's fine. I placed my backpack on the shoe cabinet, then pointing at the iron date. Come in. I've prepared a math test for you. The door's open. You don't need to worry. I'll do anything. Winter looked at me deeply. Finally stepping into the room, I led you to the sofa. Sit. What do you want to drink? Nothing. She quickly shook her head, her voice carrying some awkwardness. She didn't know why she was like this either. She'd clearly decided not to let me help anymore. Also didn't want to talk to me. But every time facing my clear eyes, she couldn't refuse, now even following me home. Truly hard to imagine. I just smiled, then went to the refrigerator, taking 2 bottles of lemon water, placing one before her. I made this myself. Taste is pretty good. Try it. The test is in the bedroom. I'll get it. Winter watched my retreating figure, then looked at the lemon water, her eyes flashing with surprise. Normally, besides plain water, she only drank lemon water. Coincidental to the point of strange. She picked up the glass, taking a sip. The surprise grew even more. The taste was very good, truly unbelievable. This was made by a senior student. This taste. I'm sure if I opened a drink stand it would work. Business would definitely be good. Why suddenly thinking such strange things? She shook her head, while drinking water, while looking around the room. The room wasn't large, but very clean, had a warm feeling. In the bedroom I flipped through the messy pile of books, finding the math test I prepared for her, and a physics notebook. I brought both items to the living room, placing them before her, then sitting across. This math test I created based on your previous mistakes. Do it whenever, but do it seriously. As for this notebook, contains solution methods and thinking processes for various physics problems. Look at it when free. Will help you improve. Thank you. Winter looked at the papers and notebook before her, her voice somewhat unnatural. She'd treated me so coldly, yet I still helped her. In my eyes, she saw nothing ambiguous, only sincerity. I said already, don't say that anymore. Either way, we're both desk mates and friends. Helping each other is very normal. After saying this, I stood up beside Winter, opening her backpack, placing the test and notebook inside, feeling my movements. Winter's mind went slightly blank. The faint scent of soap from me made her heart unconsciously tighten. Seeing her spacing out again, I raised my hand, waving lightly before her, saying softly, "Little Winter, why are you dazing out? It's done now. Let's go, I'll walk you down." The form of address, Little Winter, was deeply engraved in my bones, but I also knew she couldn't accept it yet, so could only call her name directly. Couldn't rush things. "Okay." Winter lowered her head, unconsciously recalling what I just said. Little Winter was originally how she addressed herself, but what she didn't understand was, having only known each other over 10 days, why was I so accustomed to calling her that? Going downstairs, I didn't stop, but walked with her to the complex gate. The car was waiting under a roadside tree. I walked to the car, pulling the door open, making an inviting gesture. "See you tomorrow." "Yeah, see you tomorrow." Winter nodded lightly, just about to get in the car. She suddenly paused, making a decision inside. "Call me Little Winter." Her voice very soft, gentle, and tender. Not until the car disappeared from view did I gradually come back to myself. The corner of my mouth couldn't help but curve up. The car drove smoothly on the road. Through the rearview mirror, Zhang Li observed the young Miss's expression, hesitating before asking softly, "Miss, may I ask you something?" "Go ahead." Winter nodded lightly. Zhang Li arranged his words. "That male friend just now, is he just an ordinary classmate?" "Miss, don't misunderstand. You also know the master treasures you greatly. Don't overthink it." Winter smiled lightly, her smile gentle enough to heal. "Just a classmate. His academic performance is very good, so I asked him to help tutor me. I understand." Zhang Li didn't ask further. He'd been Winter's driver for over 2 years, understood her personality well. A moment later, Winter in the back seat suddenly spoke. "Uncle Zhang, today's matter, consider it never happened. If Dad finds out, I'm afraid he'll do something. Miss, rest assured." Zhang Li made an okay sign, his eyes carrying indulgence. Living together 2 years. He'd seen this obedient, polite, pretty sweet young miss as his own little sister. Mentioning little sister, his heart ached. She must be this grown-up by now, too. The car entered a large villa complex, the yard planted with many trees, trimmed beautifully. Winter shouldered her bag, entering the living room, just about to go upstairs when called back. "Little Winter, you're home." Chapter 33, Ning Xiangtian. I'm home. On the sofa sat a middle-aged man upright. Appearance, ordinary. But deep in his eyes occasionally flashed golden light, revealing ambition and presence, his entire being radiating invisible pressure, the aura of one standing at the peak. His name was Ning Xiangtian. Just mentioning this name, even 3-year-olds had heard it. Investment world giant, business genius. This was how others evaluated him, but those things still weren't enough. He had an even greater identity, America's richest person. 6 consecutive years, topping the national Forbes list. No one could shake him. The legends about him couldn't be told in 3 days and nights. And Winter was his only daughter. To give her a normal childhood, he protected her very carefully, in all of America. Almost no one knew he had a daughter. At the company he was chairman, decisive, strong, but at home he was just a husband, a father. His gentleness entirely reserved for wife and daughter. In his eyes, his daughter was heaven's most precious gift, especially Winter. "Yes," she responded softly, not planning to stay in the living room long. She wasn't used to the heavy atmosphere around Dad. In contrast, she liked being with Mom, both warm and cheerful. Seeing his daughter going upstairs, Ning Xiangtian showed some disappointment. He set down the documents, calling her back. "Little Winter, is Dad that scary? Come sit with Dad a while." Winter removed her bag, reluctantly but still walking over. "Dad, do you need something?" "No, Dad knows you have homework. You're a senior. Academic pressure is very high." Ning Xiangtian's eyelids twitched slightly, his voice full of helplessness, while pouring water, smiling bitterly. "If Dad remembers correctly, last time and the time before, Dad said the same thing. Winter, how long has it been since we talked? Do you really dislike Dad that much?" "Of course not. Winter blinked, murmuring softly. Studies have been so heavy lately. I don't remember these things clearly anymore. Besides, you're my dad. How could I dare dislike you? Isn't that making things difficult for my own allowance? This child. Ning Shangtian shook his head, explaining that since childhood, even if you made mistakes, Dad never cut your allowance. Don't wrongly accuse Dad. Then please tell me, what mistakes have I ever made? Winter extended her right hand, quietly looking at her father. Ning Shangtian was speechless. His invincible eloquence, before his daughter, was completely useless. Just one simple sentence could leave him speechless. In this regard, with her mother, truly cut from the same cloth, the ancients weren't wrong. Like mother, like daughter. On Ning Xiangtian's face rarely appeared embarrassment. Well, let's change topics. Change topics. How are your studies lately? Same as usual. Seeing Dad had no intention of letting her go, Winter opened her bag, taking out the handwritten math test I'd given her. Before she could grab a pen, the paper was snatched away. Ning Shangtian stared at the test, saying in surprise, "Is your school so short on funds? Even tests have to be handwritten. Should Dad donate some money to Thornwood?" This time, Winter fell silent. Words like these, in her 3 years of high school, she'd heard no less than 20 times. Dad still hasn't given up that idea. I get along very well with classmates at school. Dad, don't cause trouble. Ning Xiangtian laughed awkwardly, then looked down at the test. At first glance felt nothing, but the more he read, the more surprised. After reading the entire test, he sighed. Your math teacher's level is very high. These questions are very well designed. You understand everything, right? Winter was slightly stunned, her fair, tender face showing surprise. Ning Xiangtian reminded. After all, Dad graduated with a master's from Harvard. Winter pouted. Yet I've never seen Dad help me with homework. Ning Shangtian was speechless, not knowing what else to say. Can't we talk differently? Seeing Dad's speechless expression, Winter burst out laughing, her smile beautiful as 100 flowers blooming, making people feel comfortable and pleasant. All right, I was just teasing Dad. I know Dad works hard earning money to support the family. This sentence, Dad likes. Say a few more. Next month's allowance doubles. Ning Shangtian stood up, sitting beside her, spreading the test on the coffee table. Come, sit down and look. From today on, Dad will tutor you every day. Really? Hearing this, Winter's eyes full of doubt. How busy Dad was. She knew very well. Flying around all day. Hardly ever home. Sometimes. A whole month without seeing Dad once. Let alone daily tutoring. She'd never dared imagine. Also didn't dare hope. Because she knew clearly. That was impossible. But seeing Dad's serious eyes. Is this really my dad? Could he be possessed? Of course it's real. The college entrance exam is your most important stage. Ning Xiangtian also understood this. So, he'd canceled all work schedules for the next 3 months, just to be with his daughter during exam prep. This he didn't plan to tell Winter. Winter smiled faintly, saying nothing more. She picked up the pen to start working, but just beginning. Her willow leaf eyebrows furrowed, making people's hearts ache. Time passed. Winter's forehead covered with fine perspiration. Her beautiful face clearly showing 2 words, devastated. What kind of test is this? Every question has traps, all targeting what I'm not good at. Without noticing, 2 hours passed. At 8:07 p.m., Winter set down her pen, the tense feeling gradually easing. This was the math test, most difficult she'd ever done. Nothing compared. Ning Shangtian handed her tissues, his face full of concern. Tired. Right. Come, wipe your sweat. Taking the tissue, Winter wiped the sweat from her forehead, sighing softly. Really difficult. Let Dad see. Ning Xiangtian picked up the test. A few minutes later, he quietly set it down, asking her, This test? Did your math teacher specially give it to you? Honestly, he was very surprised. From how she did the test, he saw something wrong. All questions precisely targeted her weaknesses. This level of accuracy, Normal teachers couldn't achieve. Winter hesitated slightly, shaking her head lightly. Chapter 34. Whose parents are those? Seeing his daughter shake her head. Doubt appeared in Ning Shangtian's eyes. Not the teacher? Could it be the principal? Winter didn't answer. She took her father's arm, shaking it lightly, her voice carrying some coquettishness. Dad! Look at how I did. How many points did I get? She understood her father's nature very well, excessively attentive and indulgent toward her, especially regarding her contact with boys. Even stricter. Just a slight breeze was like kindling to flame. Even a small gust considered a threat. In 8th grade, she once had class duty with a male classmate, making her come home late. Before reaching the school gate, she encountered Dad with a furious presence. When Dad saw the male student beside her, fury immediately blazed in his eyes. Without a word, he pulled her away. After that, she transferred schools. How rigid Dad was then. She remembered clearly. Precisely because of this, Winter didn't want Dad to know about Dylan Pierce, that she and I were desk mates. If word reached Dad's ears, big trouble. Best to hide it. Oh, okay. Ning Shangtian immediately softened at the coquettishness. Moreover, as his daughter grew older, she rarely acted this way, suddenly doing so. How could he resist? Indulgently saying, Dad will calculate for you, but you must prepare yourself mentally. Quite a few mistakes. The score definitely won't be high. It's fine. Seeing Dad already diverted to other topics, a triumphant smile appeared in Winter's eyes. At this moment, at the top of the stairs appeared a woman. Her loose, comfortable home clothes couldn't hide her alluring figure, her appearance 70 to 80% similar to Winter. Looking only about 20-something, the woman walked to Winter's side, standing together like two sisters, one carrying mature, alluring beauty, one pure and lovely, each with their own charm. Are Winter and Dad planning to occupy the entire living room? An hour ago. I saw father and daughter sitting in the living room. Thought you'd come upstairs soon. Result. Waited forever and no one came up. What are you two doing? Mom. Dad is tutoring me. One sentence revealed the woman's identity. This was Winter's mother, Lan Shi. Winter's name was also combined from her parents' names. Don't look at Lan Shi and Winter standing together, like twin sisters. Actually, she was already 39 years old. Logically speaking, a woman this age, no matter how well maintained, should have some traces of time on her face. But on Lan Shi, not a single trace visible. Instead, she looked younger, making her and Ning Shangtian standing together not look like husband and wife at all, more like father and daughter. Because of this, Ning Shangtian was both happy and troubled. Winter smiled lightly, her dimples incredibly adorable. She leaned close to Mom's ear, whispering a few sentences. What? Lan Shi was slightly stunned, turning to ask her husband. Wait! What's wrong with you? Did Winter say it right? Before Lan Shi finished speaking, Ning Shangtian immediately interrupted, his face showing some pride. I've dropped all work to help our daughter prep for the college entrance exam. Did you take the wrong medicine? Are you sick again? Ning Shangtian, hearing this, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Living with his wife 18 years. Her way of speaking was always like this. Simply put, if one sentence could choke someone to death, then 2 sentences. Winter stood aside, laughing foolishly. Ning Shangtian's face reddened as he retorted, If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense. This is called fatherly love. Lan Shi narrowed her eyes, scoffing. Then continue. Ning Shangtian. What else, Mom? Don't say more, dear. Winter immediately sided with Mom. Dad tutoring me is a good thing. Right. Ning Shangtian nodded in agreement. Normally, Dad is busy with work. Doesn't have much time to care about Winter. Now helping with exam prep. Can make up for the father-daughter relationship. When free, can even tutor extra. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Vaguely, sensing mother and daughter seemed to be forming an alliance. Lan Shi looked at them both, then turned to go upstairs. You two skip dinner then. Father and daughter looked at each other, simultaneously showing bitter smiles without planning it. Don't mind, Mom dear. Mom's personality is like that. Sharp mouth, but soft heart. Not really, Winter said softly. When I'm with Mom, she's very gentle. Just that. Getting here. She blinked at Dad, not continuing further. Ning Shangtian exclaimed, so that means Dad is the extra one. Seeing Dad's expression of having nothing left to live for, Winter curved her lips in a mischievous smile. Just kidding. Finished grading, Dad. Almost done. Ning Xiangtian handed the test to her, smiling brightly. This test totals 150 points. You only got 79 points. This won't do. Dad was the science track's academic star back in the day. In that year's college entrance exam, Dad scored 706 points, ranked third in the capital science track, equivalent to the scholar position in ancient times. Winter lightly spread her soft, fair hands, her voice clear and light. Dad, you mean to say this, right? Since childhood. She'd heard this sentence no less than 100 times. Her ears were about to grow calluses. Ning Xiangtian continued. This score must be the lowest among all your math tests, right? Winter pursed her lips lightly, her eyes full of helplessness. Getting 79 in math. Truly a lifetime first. Don't be discouraged. Ning Shangtian patted his daughter's shoulder, consoling her. This test targeted your math weaknesses precisely. A low score is also normal. How does Dad know? Winter was stunned. This test was indeed created by me, based on the gaps from her previous test, specially designed. But how did Dad know? Ning Shangtian pointed at his own eyes. Of course I could tell. Tell me, who created this math test? Very high level. Without realizing it, the conversation circled back to this topic. Winter again used the coquettish tactic. Dad. Since Dad is so capable, then write the solutions where I made mistakes. Write solutions? Ning Xiangtian was dazed by the coquettishness. Write what solutions? Winter didn't think much, opening her bag, taking out the physics homework I'd given her, handing it to Dad. Just like this. Helps me a lot. More effective than doing workbook problems. At school, she only sees time to look during breaks, but gained tremendously. The annotations I wrote pointed out her weaknesses and how to improve, even included problem-solving thinking. This was the first time in many years of school Winter felt learning could actually be this simple. Staring at the physics homework in hand, Ning Shangtian was silent for a few seconds, then asked, Who created this? Chapter 35. Meeting at Capitol Library. Seeing Dad's determined interrogation, Winter felt somewhat troubled. Why did I suddenly take out the physics homework? Dug a hole for myself. Why ask this? Just curious. Curious about what? Ning Shangtian raised the physics homework, pointing at the dense annotations on it. Winter may not fully understand. Rarely did his face show such appreciation. Explaining. Annotations like these aren't something just anyone can write. Since when did your school have such a high-level teacher? Winter blinked, stunned. High-level teacher. What teacher? This was just written by a student. Her face showed no expression, but her voice carried doubt. It's just some annotations. What's so impressive? Dylan Pierce's physics is indeed strong. She admitted that, but saying he's better than teachers. She didn't believe it. Moreover, hearing Dad's tone, far surpassing normal teachers, yet still saying it's not high level. Ning Shangtian said with a mix of laughter and tears. A physics master might not write annotations like these, but someone who can write them must definitely be a physics master. Explaining physics theory foundations so clearly isn't easy. Winter was secretly amazed. Is he really that impressive? It's nothing. Seeing Dad's doubt, Winter hugged his arm, lowering her voice coquettishly. Dad, I'm hungry. Hearing this, Ning Shangtian waved his hand. Go upstairs to eat. Seeing Dad not asking anymore, Winter breathed a sigh of relief, her bright eyes like water flickering. Dad, did you forget what Mom said earlier? Just kidding. Ning Shangtian patted his chest. In this house, Dad makes the decisions. At this moment, he had the bearing of a patriarch. Winter pouted. Who made decisions in this house? Didn't she know? Just about to say something, her expression suddenly became strange, sneaking a look behind Dad. Dad, don't talk big anymore, Ning Xiangtian said seriously. Why would you say that? Don't believe it. Even if Mom is standing behind me, Dad still dares to say so. Winter was helpless, her eyes looking behind Dad, her lips moving slightly. Mom? No, can't appear at this moment. 7 a.m. In the quiet bedroom, the alarm rang. I opened my eyes, showering first, my entire body immediately alert. Today was the weekend, no need for school. The reason for waking early was because I had my own plans. What plans? Naturally, continuing to cultivate something shocking. Half an hour later, I took a taxi to Haiyang Road in East Capital District. Before me, a massive building loomed into view. Architecture, symmetrical along a central axis, carrying solemnity and classical standards, under subdued colors, like an ancient academy, radiating an elegant, tranquil aura. Here was where scholars maintained their purity. Capitol Library, one of the nation's largest libraries, massive book collection, incredibly rich resources. Looking at the magnificent building before me, countless emotions surged in my heart. Checking the time, 7,052. 8 more minutes, until the library opened. I carried with me 10 steamed buns bought from a shop near the residential complex gate, sitting on the steps eating. This was my activity location today, and also my future activity spot. Just then, an old man walked up beside me. White hair, rosy complexion, very good spirits. Young man, here to read books. Ha Jiguo had the day off, coming to the library to review materials. From afar he'd seen me sitting on the library steps. More accurately, saw the large bag of steamed buns in my hands. So many. I looked up at Ha Jiguo, nodding. Yes, I'm waiting for the library to open. What a coincidence, me too. Ha ha! Jiguo laughed heartily, not caring about appearances, sitting down beside me, casually asking, You look young. In college yet? Not yet, senior year. I raised the steamed bun in my hand. Want one? The corner of Hajiguo's mouth twitched, his expression slightly stunned. Coming to himself, he couldn't help but assess me. Nice, just met, and offering steamed buns. Can have one. Really? I was just being polite. Ha! Jiguo's extended hand froze mid-air, his expression rigid. I burst out laughing, placing a steamed bun in his hand. Why would I joke with you, sir? After saying this, continuing to eat the bun in my hand. Ha! Jiguo looked at the bun in his hand, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He asked me, Senior year pressure must be huge, right? Pretty normal, I answered naturally. As long as your heart is strong enough, you won't feel pressure. Well said. Ha! Jiguo laughed loudly, patting my shoulder. Keep this state up. I remained calm, from the corner of my eye seeing the library had opened. Standing up. Library's open. See you later, sir. Watching my retreating figure, Ha Jiguo muttered. Truly an interesting young man. Entering the library, wooden bookshelves arranged neatly, books on shelves of all types. Truly an ocean of knowledge. I didn't stop, my eyes quickly scanning each shelf. The system had said, the harder the book, the more experience from reading. So then, the target naturally couldn't be ordinary books. After nearly 5 minutes, I found my target bookshelf. Books on this shelf, randomly picking one, all belonged to advanced knowledge, ancient and modern mathematical thought, the loss of certainty in mathematics, new discoveries in geometry. Hugging over a dozen books, I sat straight down on the floor, focusing my attention on Introduction to Physical Concepts, reading for 10 minutes. Experience +1. Over 2 hours passed. I rubbed my eyes, concentrating too long. Eyes felt hot. Taking out my phone to check the time. It's 10:39 in the morning. Nearly 2.5 hours, and still not halfway. Compared to before, speed slowed by nearly half. Looking at the pile of books beside me, I sighed. Too overconfident. I stood up, putting books back on the shelf. only carrying Introduction to Physical Concepts and Ancient and Modern Mathematical Thought. Walking to the reading area. At my current speed, today at most could only finish 2 books. In that case, no need to force myself to sit on the floor. Casually finding an empty table, I sat down to continue reading. Unexpectedly, an old man with a squinting smile, watching me with my head bowed reading. It was Hajiguo from this morning. Before him was a thick notebook, filled with notes. The materials he needed were done. Was about to leave, but seeing me, he changed his mind, putting away the notebook, walking over to sit across from me. When seeing the book title in my hands, he was extremely shocked inside. A high school student, reading Introduction to Physical Concepts. In Chapter 36, Upgrading Medicine. Introduction to Physical Concepts. Chiguo had heard of this book before. It contained many advanced physics theorems and related concepts. Not only that, but also many theoretical hypotheses. Could a high school student really understand it? Seeing me still with head bowed reading, Chiguo greeted. Young man, what a coincidence. We meet again. I paused, turning the page, my lips curving slightly. Hungry again. After saying this, I pushed the bag of buns by my left hand. In front of Jiguo, remember to leave me too. Jiguo's mouth opened, his facial expression incredibly rich. Wasn't this what he'd asked for earlier? Keeping one should be enough. Today's conversation could be considered hopeless. In academic circles, he was, after all, a renowned professor. How did he become someone begging for steamed buns? Before this young man. Jiguo smiled awkwardly. You misunderstand. I'm not here begging for buns. My reaction was extremely calm. While speaking, opening the plastic bag, taking out a bun to eat. This is my ration for today, before going to battle. Provisions must be prepared first. Having decided to spend all day at Capitol Library, I was too lazy to go out to eat midway. Going back and forth wasted too much time. More accurately, wasted experience. Time was experience. While eating, I raised my eyebrows at Hajiguo. The buns are really good. Really not trying one. Jiguo's expression darkened slightly. Can't escape this segment. Can't let this kid control the rhythm. Thinking this, Hajiguo didn't respond further. He picked up the Introduction to Physical Concepts on the table, flipping through a few pages, confirming the book in hand. Was indeed one of the 8 physics classics. Then he asked, Young man, why choose this book to read? Just reading for fun, I answered very casually. Hearing this, Jiguo naturally didn't believe it. The focus and concentration when I was reading just now, he saw very clearly, completely unlike pretending. Only when truly immersed in something could one have that demeanor. But this type of book, how could a high school senior become immersed in it? Jiguo set down the book, speaking seriously. This Introduction to Physical Concepts has no simple origin. It's called one of the 8 famous physics works. Knowledge in the book is extremely deep. People who read this type of book are usually physicists. Rarely do young people choose this one, because most ordinary people can't absorb it. He paused, his hoarse voice containing some curiosity. Can you understand it? I didn't answer immediately. Just observing the old man before me, wrinkles at eyes and temples, deeply carved with traces of time, radiating a strong scholarly aura, making people unconsciously respectful. May I ask how to address you? I am Jiguo. I'm Dylan Pierce. Dylan as in the tree, Pierce as in ordinary. I smiled faintly. If I say I understand, I'm afraid you won't necessarily believe it. So whether to answer that question doesn't really matter. What do you think? Hearing this, Jiguo fell silent, his appreciation growing. It had been a long time since he'd met such an interesting young person. Dylan Pierce. Do you have university aspirations? Harvard. Jiguo raised his eyebrows slightly, smiling. Harvard is indeed good, but admission isn't easy. You must work hard. Yes, I nodded. Anything else? I'd like to read. The attitude of avoiding disturbance, So clear. Ha Jiguo naturally saw it. He smiled awkwardly. Then I won't disturb you any more. If fate allows, we'll meet again. After saying this, he stood up to leave. Want more steamed buns? Just a few steps away. Already heard that sentence from behind. Hachiguo's entire body froze, his steps accelerating several degrees, briefly carrying a sense of fleeing. When fully focused on one thing, we'll almost forget time. Right now I was in that state. Reading for 10 minutes. Experience +1. Reading for 10 minutes. Experience +1. Completed 1 book. Bonus experience. Porcy. Hearing the system voice in my head, I was slightly shocked. Completing 1 book gave 20 experience points. The system never mentioned this before. Looks like I need to read more specialized books in the future. That way the efficiency of gaining experience will be much higher. It was now 2043 p.m. To finish. Introduction to Physical Concepts. I'd spent over 6 hours, but the harvest was very large. Total reading process gained 38 experience points, plus the 20 bonus points for completion, was 58 experience points. The remaining time could read 1 more book. The corner of my mouth curved slightly, picking up the ancient and modern mathematical thought beside me. Continuing to read, close to 9003 p.m. I finally got home. Eating, bathing, everything done. Already past 10 o'clock. Lying on the bed, I opened my attribute panel. Knowledge level 3, 0A2000. Intelligence level 2, 0A500. Martial arts level 2, 8500. Medicine level 1, 0100. Merit points, 0 experience, 66. Before going to the library, experience was only 64. Spending 1 day at Capitol Library, gained a total of 102 experience. With this result, I was extremely satisfied. My eyes fell on the medicine row on the attribute panel. Currently, only this skill had the lowest level. Experience accumulated for level 1 was enough to upgrade this skill. I wasn't one to hesitate. Think it, do it. Upgrade medicine. System requires 100 experience points to upgrade medicine. Upgrade or not. Upgrade. System consumed 100 experience points. Medicine successfully upgraded to level 2. Following the system's gentle prompt, countless unfamiliar knowledge flooded my mind. Human body structure and function. Pathology foundations. Pharmacology foundations. Common diseases and recurring conditions. The room fell into a long silence. Until I completely digested. The knowledge appearing in my mind. Over an hour had passed. I slowly opened my eyes. The depths of my eyes full of shock. Upgrading medicine was completely different from upgrading other abilities. The amount of knowledge was too vast. Involved too many medical fields. People always say wide isn't as good as deep. Deep isn't as good as refined. Human energy is limited. In normal situations, everyone would choose one field they're best at to specialize in. Yet the system did the opposite, forcing comprehensive development. Truly an all-around system. Quite interesting. Pondering a moment, I pushed down the thoughts in my heart, preparing to sleep, turning off lights, lying down. Just starting to feel sleepy. The system voice rang in my head again. Issuing task. Requires master in tomorrow's monthly exam. To achieve first place in the entire school. Reward, random experience. Chapter 37, System Issues Task. Request master. In tomorrow's monthly exam. Achieve first place in entire school. Reward, random experience. Sleepiness immediately vanished. I was completely awake. Task, that's right. Beginning of each month, the system would issue tasks. Recently I'd been busy gaining experience, so forgot about this. Looking up at the clock, the hour hand already pointed to 12, already April 1st. Understanding this, I couldn't help but feel anticipation. Random experience reward. Who knows, luck might explode. Giving 80 or 100,000 experience points. Then what need to grind experience? What need for a bicycle? Immediately. System. Please, master, don't indulge in delusions. Though experience reward is random, it's within a certain range. Maximum doesn't exceed 1,000 experience points. I was stunned. Dream shattered. System. Can you specify the range? System. 100 to 1,000. After completing the task, the amount of experience reward will be randomly determined within this range. Now I understood completely. Not bad, at least better than I thought. As long as I complete the task, at least 100 experience points. Moreover, I didn't believe my luck was that bad. Should at least get the middle range. Around 500 experience points. Enough to upgrade a skill from level 2 to level 3. Most importantly, this month's task was first place in the exam. I'd already done it. But the system hadn't reported completion. Perhaps must wait for results announcement. No rush. 7:05 a.m. I arrived at class a bit late. Just stepping into the room, felt the atmosphere was different. Everyone's face carrying tension. More pressure than usual. At the podium, Ms. Yang was reminding about precautions. Seeing me so carefree. She wanted to say something but didn't know what. I was already the tacitly acknowledged first place. What more could be said, just as I walked over? Derek Yu, sitting in the front row, clenched his fists. His cold gaze. This bet with me. He absolutely had to win. Though in the last test, I ranked first in class. Derek Yu wasn't convinced at all. Instead, he suspected me. A perfect score test. Haha, absolutely impossible. In his eyes, my transfer to Thornwood must have been through backdoor connections. Who knows, the previous test also relied on connections. Heard this monthly exam. The principal had teachers from other schools create it. Before the exam, even teachers at school didn't know the questions. In other words, this time, I couldn't use backdoor connections even if I wanted. Moreover, he'd let the whole class know who truly ranked first when I walked past Derek Yu. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. Why, the wide eyes? Lost money or lost face already? In that instant, Derek Yu's face flushed, but before he could retort, I'd already reached my seat. Little Winter. Good morning. Good morning, hearing Little Winter. Her cheeks lightly flushed pink. Truly bewitched. How did she let me call her Little Winter? Now look what happened. If others heard. Who knows what they'd think, seeing Winter spacing out, my eyes full of mirth. My voice low and gentle. That math test I gave you the other day, did you finish it? Finished. Coming back to herself, Winter's face grew even redder. Taking from her desk drawer the math test I'd given her, her heart suddenly anxious. The test was too hard. I only got 79 points. Not very good. Hearing this, shock appeared in my eyes. This girl actually knew how to criticize herself. I took the test, immediately seeing the paper covered with dense annotations. I reviewed all the annotations, my eyes brightening. Winter poked me lightly with her finger, whispering, "These annotations were written by my dad. They're not wrong, right?" "Of course no problem," I answered definitively. Kidding. Isn't this my future father-in-law? But the sentence wasn't finished, already interrupted by the class bell. Ms. Yang clapped her hands, her expression serious. Everyone focus. This morning, testing Chinese and math. This afternoon, testing English and comprehensive science. During exams, maintain order. Follow exam room rules. Giving you 5 minutes. Take all items unrelated to the exam. Put them at the back of class. Everyone was already prepared. Earlier, everyone had organized beforehand, just waiting to start testing. Before Winter were 2 tall stacks of books, but before she could act, someone else was faster. Let me help. I hugged both book stacks, taking them to the back. This scene happened to be seen by Layla Monroe. When I passed Layla Monroe's seat, he stopped. Oh my God, Winter, now I completely understand why you abandoned me. If it were me, I'd also choose Dylan Pierce. While saying this, he set books on my desk, his free hand lightly patting Winter's shoulder. Work hard to bring Dylan Pierce home. I support you. Winter's face flushed crimson. Who's asking for a beating, right? Layla Monroe looked up, muttering, "The weather's so nice today." "Yeah, nice, nice." He ran off, clutching books. Teasing more. This life couldn't be kept. Winter looked up slightly, her face full of helplessness. Nice weather. But why are you looking at the ceiling? This was just a small prelude before the exam. When test papers were distributed, the classroom quickly became absolutely silent. Even the sound of a pen dropping could be heard clearly. Everyone seriously focused. Only one exception. I sat bored to the point of spacing out, right hand holding a pen but not moving at all. Time passed bit by bit. Quickly, half an hour had passed. I turned my head, looking at Winter seriously working on her test. Then I picked up my paper and stood up, walking to the podium. "Ma'am, I'm submitting." Voice not loud, but enough for everyone to hear clearly. The entire class simultaneously looked up. Seeing me standing at the podium, it's him again. Only half an hour into the exam. Already submitting. Ms. Yang looked at the blank paper in my hands, her eyelids twitching continuously. "Fine. Too lazy to even write your name." She knew the reason. But seeing me submit a blank paper, still felt somewhat helpless, at least to a few questions. Ms. Yang silently collected the paper, her expression calm. "Still early. Go back to check again. Why the rush? Ma'am, my stomach hurts. Need to use the bathroom." Familiar scene. Familiar dialogue. Familiar person. Can't you use a different excuse? Chapter 38. Genius Leaderboard opens. Go. Ms. Yang wearily waved her hand, not wanting to argue with me. No choice. Who told me to be excellent? Moreover, the terrifyingly excellent type. This year using national test questions. Not just the capital. Many regions adopted them. Only a few places used separate tests. According to Education Department statistics, test takers using national questions comprised 93% of the nation, so this year's test scores carried extremely high value, unprecedented. If achieving first place on national test, that was the highest honor. Also because of this, for someone like me, Ms. Yang's tolerance level was very high. Of course, only for me. If it were someone else, she'd have erupted in fury. "Thank you, ma'am." I nodded, turning to leave the classroom. Destination, library. But just leaving the teaching building was stopped by someone. Zhang Chongshan had just received notification from the Education Department, was heading to Proctor Wu Yinghua's room, passing by the teaching building. Saw me strolling out leisurely. Isn't it exam time now? Why was I walking outside? With doubt, Zhang Chongshan quickened his pace, blocking in front of me, smiling. "Dylan Pierce, where are you headed?" I stopped, calmly answering. "Too boring in class, so planning to go to the library to read a bit. If it were another student stopped by the principal, they'd definitely be very nervous. But I was the opposite. Face calm, without ripples. Even my voice like casual everyday conversation. Zhang Chongshan originally planned to advise that this wasn't good, but just thinking of my performance in the principal's office days ago, words at his lips, swallowed back down. Geniuses can't be equated with ordinary people. "Follow me." Zhang Chongshan pulled me, walking to the small path north of the teaching building, looking mysterious. "Let me tell you something first." "What news?" "I just received notification from the Education Department. This year they'll establish something called the Genius Leaderboard." Just hearing Genius Leaderboard, my eyes narrowed slightly. In my mind, many related memories surfaced. In my past life at the start of 2015, the Education Department had issued an announcement. Among 13 regions using local tests, 10 regions switched to national tests. Test takers using national tests exceeded 90%. To encourage students, the Genius Leaderboard was created. Heard that those whose names made the board were all placed under key cultivation, treatment incredibly good. But the Genius Leaderboard had nothing to do with me then. At that time, I'd been working in society for a year, no interest in researching deeply, just skimmed very casually, so didn't know much. 2015 was also the year I met Winter, so the major events of that year I remembered very clearly, but now was 2010. Compared to my past life's Genius Leaderboard appearance, 5 years earlier, I began thinking, could it be because I was reborn? The world's timeline changed. Zhan Chongshan spoke at length. Looking back, I was bowing my head, frowning. As if my soul had flown elsewhere, the corner of his mouth twitched, coughing. Dylan Pierce, you go to the library first. I still have matters. No reaction. I completely didn't hear. Zhan Chongshan coughed harder twice. I came back to myself. Principal, you haven't left yet. A day passed in tense atmosphere. Of course not, including me, plus the comprehensive science exam. I stayed in class less than 2 hours. The rest spent sitting in the library. 5 p.m. Half an hour before dismissal. In the principal's office. 7 senior-year homeroom teachers sat fully present, everyone's face carrying some doubt. Zhan Chongshan held his teacup, taking a sip, saying, "You're all probably wondering why I called everyone here." 7 people nodded simultaneously. Today was Thornwood's monthly exam. Not long after this exam, we'll conduct citywide joint exam, meaning the first mock exam, then mock 2, then mock 3, meaning this was senior year's last monthly exam. Additionally, this exam's results also related to Harvard assault class spots. So, teachers especially valued it. Logically, they should be proctoring, yet were called by Zhan Chongshan. Truly puzzling. Science track class. One homeroom teacher, Luo Haifeng, stood up. "Principal, just speak directly. I need to return to proctoring. Let's make this quick." Hearing this, other teachers didn't speak up. In all of Thornwood, someone who dared speak to Zhan Chongshan this way was only Luo Haifeng, who told him he was a Harvard graduate student, proper credentials. Zhan Chongshan didn't mind, smiling. "Haifeng, don't rush." Then he set down his teacup, his gaze sweeping across the 7 teachers' faces. "Calling everyone today. There is indeed major news. I received notification from the Education Department. For this year's college entrance exam, the Education Department specially established the Genius Leaderboard." Genius Leaderboard? The 7 teachers were all confused, eyes looking at each other. What is this? Zhan Chongshan wasn't surprised. Continuing. The Genius Leaderboard has 100 spots total. 97 spots for the 97 top scorers on the national test. 3 spots for test takers, ranking first in the 3 local test regions, meaning those 3 will rank at the bottom of the board. As for national test rankings, will be based directly on scores. Students making the Genius Leaderboard not only receive generous monetary rewards, but also receive key cultivation. The 100 people on the Genius Leaderboard will be divided into 2 classes, studying alternately at Harvard, ranked first nationally, and Stanford, ranked second, switching schools every 6 months. Students with outstanding performance not only receive graduation certificates from both schools, more importantly, have qualification to join the Academy of Sciences. By the time Zhan Chongshan finished, 7 people sitting in chairs couldn't sit still anymore. All simultaneously stood up in shock. Hard to believe, being cultivated by 2 top universities, plus qualification to join the Academy of Sciences. This was too. Several people still hadn't recovered after a while. Teachers who could teach at Thornwood naturally weren't ordinary people. After digesting this news, everyone began getting excited, their eyes clearly showing anticipation. The Genius Leaderboard was an incredibly exciting nationwide competition. Chapter 39. Youthful Girl. Just think, if their students could make the Genius Leaderboard, how great an honor that would be. Based on that achievement, where they wanted to teach afterward would be extremely easy. Among everyone, happiest was naturally Ms. Yang. Though trying to restrain herself, the joy in her eyes couldn't be hidden. With my current level, as long as I performed normally in the college entrance exam, would definitely have my name on the Genius Leaderboard. Might even rank in a top group. Even number 1 position wasn't impossible, if I truly achieved it. Ms. Yang's hands unconsciously clenched, seeing everyone's reaction. Zhan Chongshan's wrinkled face showed a smile. He lightly clapped, saying, "This college entrance exam reform will definitely attract widespread attention, and the Genius Leaderboard is the focal point. Teachers, please do your utmost If you cultivate a student onto the board, the school won't treat you poorly. Principal, this is already our responsibility. Well said. At the same time, the dismissal bell rang. Students' tense stay, like a deflating ball, immediately exhausted and limp, faces full of weariness, mental concentration too long, made minds feel thick. After submitting the comprehensive science test, everyone like birds freed from cages. Exhaustion replaced by joy. Senior year science class, 2. In the classroom. Only a few students were packing up. Winter slowly organized her books. Not long after, her desk and drawer were tidy again. Looking up, besides her, no one else remained in class. This she was very used to, putting her bag on, preparing to leave. From the corner of her eye, seeing the back of class. Over 10 books scattered messily on the floor. Whose were those? Sunset light from the window shone on her pure face, making her already gentle beauty even more sacred, making people dare not profane even with a glance. Winter gently walked to the back, bending down to pick up the books, taking tissues she carried, carefully wiping away the dust. Focused, quiet, creating a scene beautiful as a painting. Only time silently recording, the beauty belonging to that moment. After wiping clean, Winter took those books, placing them in my desk drawer. She muttered softly, even daring to skip exams. Being excellent is so great, huh? But in those clear eyes hid some helplessness. Fine, being excellent truly is great. After locking the classroom door, Winter shouldered her backpack leaving class, reaching the school gate, taking the MP3 she carried, putting in earbuds, her steps light as if rhythmic, under the slanting evening light, her every movement, like telling a story of youth. At the alley entrance, I was leaning against the wall, watching the figure walking toward me, my eyes deep as the sea. I truly felt fortunate. Fortunate heaven gave me a chance to start over. This life, I'd make up for all regrets. When Winter reached the alley entrance, her eyes met my clear gaze, her steps unconsciously slowing. Winter. I nodded lightly, pointing into the alley, my voice low and warm. Let's go. Winter's heart felt somewhat complex, her soft black hair lightly dancing in the wind. She asked, "You were waiting for me here. What else would I be doing?" The corner of my mouth carried a casual smile. I walked to her side. "Come to my place. Have something I want to give you." "Okay." The gentle sound made listeners' hearts tickle. Winter's step slowed, her cheeks slightly flushed, pure and beautiful. Walking ahead, my gaze quietly resting on her back. So beautiful. Like always, at the street corner, Zhang Li was waiting. But seeing me behind Winter, his eyebrows couldn't help but furrow, though never having been in love. His life experience was there. Age 17, 18, was precisely when feelings easily stirred. Uncle Zhang. Winter nodded lightly, lowering her gaze. "Please wait for me at the Jade Garden gate. I'm going to Dylan Pierce's to get study materials." Zhang Li looked at me deeply, his eyes carrying clear warning. But with Winter present, inconvenient to show too, obviously, he drove toward the complex gate. I smiled faintly, my face calm. I liked Winter. No need to hide it. No need to explain. At the stairway entrance, I took off my bag, my eyes moving slightly, signaling to Winter. Winter was slightly stunned, then immediately understood my meaning. Her face warming slightly, hesitating a moment. She reached out to hold the bag strap. Together we climbed to the 6th floor. I took out keys to unlock the door, gesturing. "You go in first. The door's not locked, rest assured." Winter's lips moved slightly, not knowing what to say, lowering her head, stepping inside. I went to the refrigerator, taking a glass of lemon water, placing it on the coffee table. "Sit down and have some water. I'll go get the materials." Winter held the glass, taking a sip, her eyes brightening slightly. "Really good." She looked toward the bedroom, tiptoeing to the room entrance, her careful manner like doing something sneaky. The room full of books, all types and genres. Books piled messily on the floor, on the computer desk, even on the bed. I was squatting, searching through the book pile. Winter raised her small hand, knocking lightly on the door frame twice. Hearing the sound, I looked up at her, my eyes carrying a light smile. Room's a bit messy, making you laugh at me. Wait a moment. It's fine, Winter responded with a small smile, looking at the book-filled room. Her eyes wavering slightly, couldn't help remembering something from days ago. I said submitting early to go read at the library. At that time she didn't believe it, thought I was making excuses. But now it seemed, perhaps she'd misunderstood me. Plus these recent interactions, the jerk, label once stuck on me, had disappeared without notice. Her thoughts, I didn't know at all. I continued searching a while longer, finally finding a book. Analysis of Basic High School Math Formulas. This is for you. Basic Formula Analysis. Winter paused slightly, her soft voice carrying doubt. These basic formulas were learned in 10th and 11th grade. Why have me look at this? Foundation is very important. I gently pushed her shoulder toward the sofa, walking while talking. I looked at your test. Discovered quite an interesting problem. The warmth of my palm through fabric, touching Winter's shoulder, made her mind go slightly blank. Not hearing clearly what I said anymore. Her body just following the push forward. After 2 steps, I reacted. That action was completely unconscious, but forgot. Winter and I now were just classmates. Done for. These hands probably need chopping. Chapter 40. Using my whole life to repay is fine. I didn't mean to. So tense even words stumbled. My mouth truly causes trouble. How to say this now? Don't misunderstand. I tried to stay calm. Finally, my mouth obeyed. Winter looked at me without blinking, cheeks lightly flushed. What did you just say? I said, don't misunderstand. The sentence before that. I sighed like being rescued, then tentatively asked, not angry, right? No. Winter shook her head lightly, her voice carrying some embarrassment. But can't do that again in the future. My flustered state just now. She saw everything, couldn't help finding it funny inside. Turns out I was this afraid of her being angry. I'll pay attention. I smiled awkwardly, continuing the previous conversation. I looked at your math test. Discovered a problem. What problem? Normal people have solid foundations, but their thinking when solving problems tends to be fixed, making knowledge application inflexible. But you're different. How am I different? I looked at her, explaining. Your problem is completely opposite from most people. Your problem-solving thinking is very spirited, free and creative. But foundation isn't solid. Many mistakes are basic errors. In math, one wrong step means everything's wrong. One misstep ruins the whole problem. Therefore, you need to consolidate foundational formulas. I held the formula analysis book in Winter's hands, flipping through pages quickly, occasionally stopping to fold page corners. What are you doing? Marking key points. Just look at the pages I folded. I flipped while talking. Since it's called supplementing, must hit the key points. Then results will be obvious. Okay, just look at about this much. Read carefully when you get home. Thank you, Winter said softly. Everything I did was very thoughtful. Could be said to be extremely meticulous. Gentle, moderate. Even teachers might not do this well. Nothing to thank me for. I waved my hand, bending to open her bag, taking out the math test, and 2 sheets of draft paper. These 2 sheets are annotations I wrote. They have question numbers marked. Remember to look carefully tonight. I didn't forget to add, right. Don't overthink it. I'm not saying your uncle's annotations aren't good, just that some points aren't quite suited for you. Winter's eyes looked at the dense annotations on paper, her gaze changing slightly. A feeling, hard to express in words. Even she didn't recognize it. Just then, a cough sounded. Outside the door, Zhang Li stood with arms crossed. After parking, he'd silently followed behind them. What just happened in the room? He saw everything, especially when I placed my hand on Winter's shoulder. He almost couldn't hold back. Fortunately, I withdrew in time. Otherwise, seeing him at the door, Winter was slightly surprised, but immediately understood why. She packed everything in her bag, picking up the glass on the table. taking a few small sips, setting down the glass, waving lightly. The lemon water is really good. Leaving the door, she said, Uncle, let's go. Yes, miss. Zhang Li carried her bag for her, his face full of respect. The two left. I sat down on the sofa, quietly spacing out. Oh, miss, indeed her identity wasn't simple. In my past life, before Winter entered my company, the company had almost no clients, but after she appeared, 2-3 months, major clients proactively sought cooperation, contract after contract, plus my accurate market insight ability. A few years later, under countless admiring gazes, I became a businessman worth hundreds of millions. Before I'd also wondered, large securities companies were plentiful. Why did they choose me? Thought endlessly without answer, then gave up. Now, it seemed, half the reason was probably Winter. Thinking of this, the smile on my lips became bittersweet, whispering softly, Winter, seems I still owe you a lot. My lips curved slightly, my eyes becoming determined. If that's the case, then I'll spend my whole life repaying. The car drove smoothly on the road. Inside the car, Zhang Li continuously watched Winter through the rearview mirror, wanting to ask, but afraid she'd be unhappy. His heart extremely conflicted. Uncle Zhang, hearing her call. Zhang Li immediately dismissed. His thoughts, yes, miss. What is it? Winter lightly brushed hair from her forehead, her voice gentle. That person's name is Dylan Pierce, a classmate, also my deskmate. He and I are just friends, nothing else. Zhang Li coughed lightly, covering his awkwardness. I would first. He couldn't hide anything from her. This girl was too clever. Similar situations had happened many times. Every time. She saw through his thoughts. Hard to believe he was 35. Winter 17. Nearly double the age gap. It's fine. Winter smiled lightly, her eyes curving. You're doing this for my good. I know. Zhang Li didn't know what else to say. What needed saying? She'd said it all. He swallowed his choking feeling, smiling lightly. If misunderstands, that's good. Now is senior year's critical stage. Shouldn't be distracted. Wait until college. Getting here. He paused. With Winter's intellect, she naturally understood. Thank you, Uncle Zhang. Winter smiled gently. That gentleness made others feel warm. About Dylan Pierce. Don't tell Dad for now. After the college entrance exam, I'll tell him myself. Zhang Li thought, then nodded. Miss, rest assured. I know what should be said, and what shouldn't. In Ning Xiangtian's living room, the table piled with high school math books, and past year's tests, plus Huanggong physics tests. His daughter's weak points were math and physics. These two subjects were his strengths. To do good work, must have good tools. As a father, he had to become his daughter's weapon. Lan Shi came down from upstairs, seeing that scene, her gentle eyes. You're really so serious. Of course. Ning Xiangtian paused. Say it. Do it. Lan Shi curved her lips, smiling. Then tonight you can sleep in the room. Ning Xiangtian set down his pen, arms wrapping around his wife's waist, smiling. Just one night apart, and you miss me already. Don't be narcissistic. Lan Shi glanced at him. On her alluring face was some sweetness. Just then, a soft voice rang out. The two immediately separated. At the living room entrance, Winter raised her hand, covering her eyes, but the gaps between her fingers were quite large. I don't see anything. You two continue. Chapter 41, Winter's Gift. Lan Xi glared at Ning Xiangtian, then said, Mom will go check if Aunt Wang finished cooking. You two talk. After saying that, she turned and went upstairs, her back carrying some embarrassment. Ning Xiangtian coughed lightly, acting as if nothing happened, waving at his daughter. Little Winter, how did the exam go today? Pretty good. Recalling today's test, Winter's eyes flashed with some joy. Dylan Pierce's supplemental teaching had clear effects. When doing the comprehensive science test, physics questions previously difficult, today became much easier. Because of this, when school ended in the afternoon, hearing I had something to give her, she immediately agreed. Oh. Seeing his daughter's expression, Ning Xiangtian smiled. Rarely see you this happy. Seems you performed well today. Setting down her bag, Winter sat on the sofa, gently taking her father's arm. She saw the practice tests on the table, her dimples showing slightly. Dad! Though Dad wants to charge into the college entrance exam with me. Mainly, I still have to work hard myself. If I study something I don't understand, I won't be polite with Dad. Usually Dad is very busy, rarely has time to rest. Don't need to work so hard. Silly girl. Ning Xiangtian looked at his daughter with indulgence, gently stroking her head. Being with Dad's little princess. No matter what I do, I don't feel tired. Winter pouted. Sounds so cheesy, Dad. Dad deliberately learned these lines online. To coax me, right? Losing weight? Getting goosebumps here. The corner of Ning Xiangtian's mouth twitched. His eyes helpless. Truly his daughter. One sentence completely destroying the emotional atmosphere. Winter laughed softly, then winked at Dad. Come on. Just kidding. No, Dad loves me most. One sentence made Ning Xiangtian smile brightly. He took the notebook from the table, placing it in his daughter's hands. This is Dad's achievement today. The questions in here are all essential. Total of 100 questions. From today on, we'll do one question each day. By then, guaranteed your math and physics will improve significantly. Thank you, Dad. The corner of Winter's mouth curved lightly, her eyes gentle. A moment later, she suddenly remembered something, her voice softening again. Dad, let me show you this first. She opened her bag, taking out the annotations I wrote. Here. Ning Xiangtian took the paper, his expression briefly puzzled, but the longer he looked, his eyes gradually transformed to shock. He was truly convinced. Looking briefly seemed like nothing, but reading carefully revealed profound meaning. The formula analysis steps were extremely clear. Explanations, simple and understandable. Anyone could see how to solve it. With his high level of knowledge, he quickly recognized its essence. The highest truths are often simple. Ordinary teachers absolutely couldn't write at this level. Even teachers at key schools like Thornwood would find it difficult. Moreover, he noticed something else. The annotations in the physics homework from days ago, and these annotations, had shockingly similar styles. With today's achievements, Ning Xiangtian naturally wasn't simple. His eyes suddenly flashed with insight. He was silent for a long time, then slowly spoke. Little Winter, is there something you're hiding from Dad? Yes. Winter nodded very naturally, admitting, too straightforwardly, shouldn't she deflect a bit? Ning Xiangtian was stunned. All the prepared words became useless in an instant. Then, what exactly is it? Not saying. Seeing Dad speechless, Winter laughed, gently saying, Dad, don't ask. I can't say now. After the college entrance exam, I'll tell you everything. Okay? After saying this, even shaking Dad's hand lightly. Okay. Ning Xiangtian completely admitted defeat. Dad won't ask anymore. All right. Seeing Dad agree, Winter smiled brightly, her finger pointing at the annotations in Dad's hand. Dad, what do you think of these annotations? Good. Very good. So good. There's nothing to criticize. Winter blinked in surprise. That's it? Ning Xiangtian smiled helplessly, explaining, Dad can't write at this level. Its essence lies in analyzing clearly step by step. Simple but accurate. If you haven't read it yet, take your time reading. Winter shook her head. Haven't read it. After you read it, you'll understand. Ning Xiangtian put the notebook away. After a busy day, he suddenly realized he seemingly couldn't help much, his heart feeling slightly sad. He changed topics. Little Winter, let's go eat. Yes. Winter smiled, gently holding the notebook again, smiling brightly. Dad, one day. One problem. You said so. Can't break your promise. No problem. Ning Xiangtian smiled, his eyes full of love. Dawn of a new day gradually opening, gentle light covering the city. A new day beginning again. In Science Class 2, chatter unceasing, atmosphere lively, extremely animated. What's to look forward to? Can't beat Class 1 anyway, just losing face. Can't be so pessimistic. While scores aren't announced, all possibilities can happen. I, as usual, arrived at class on time. Just sat down when something appeared in my hand. A small white container. Inside were several cute little red bean cakes. Thank you for helping me study. Consider it reciprocating. Winter lowered her head, her fair face lightly flushed, her clear eyes like crystal, like pure spring water. You made this. I looked at the cakes in the container. Couldn't suppress a trace of joy inside. From her action, I knew she was no longer guarded against me. If it were before, she absolutely wouldn't do this. The relationship between us advanced another step. This lightened my heart considerably. Winter mumbled, "Well, consider that I made it. The cakes were made by Aunt Wang, but I put them in the container myself. That also counts as me making them." "Yeah, that counts." I didn't ask further, my gaze just resting on the container, inside feeling an indescribable warmth. This was the first time she'd given me anything. The significance couldn't be underestimated. Winter hesitantly asked, "Did you find this month's exam difficult? What do you think?" I smiled, asking back. She thought a moment. Other subjects were fine. Math was too hard, especially the last question. I'm sure I lost all 12 points. Really unfortunate. Gentle sunlight through the window, shining on her face, her delicate nose lines seeming to glow, beautiful to the point of making others dazed. I unconsciously stared. In my mind, only 4 words, crystal bone and jade. Seeing me staring, Winter's face reddened. Even her ears turned red. She lightly kicked me under the desk. Can't look at people like that. I came back to myself, but wasn't embarrassed. People naturally love beauty. It's instinct. I'm the same. Moreover, I was looking at my future wife. Not now yet, but definitely in the future. The last math question was indeed very difficult. This time, probably not many could solve it, I said, before it was too rushed. I didn't get to supplement your math. My fault, but it's fine. Just a monthly exam. Not a mock exam yet. Don't let it affect your mood. How can I not care? Her eyes full of determination. This monthly exam decides whether I can enter the Harvard assault class. Very important to me. Other things I won't compete for. But academics, I must win. Especially the 3 professors teaching the Harvard assault class are all retired Harvard professors. Their level goes without saying. If I can enter that class, I'm sure I can improve a lot. I lightly tapped my fingers on the desk. Little Winter, try changing your perspective. You couldn't get those 12 points. Others might not get them either. Meaning, everyone at the same starting line. If that's the case, what's there to worry about? I know from Layla Monroe. Her grades always hover around 4th, 5th place in the grade. But the assault class quota is 21 people. Almost guaranteed. Whether you got those 12 points? Take a guess. Winter blinked. I did. I nodded. Instead of thinking, Winter was cautious with me. She didn't think I was bragging. From the annotations I wrote, she already understood what was called a gap. She asked me softly, "How many points do you think you got this time?" "How many?" "Let me calculate." I pretended to count on my fingers, then smiled. "If there are no surprises, then your Desme will rank first in the monthly exam." My tone very natural, not carrying any boasting. She froze. Adorable to the point my heart melted. My deskmate. Who else but you? In my dictionary. There's no word for surprise, she said. Scores aren't announced yet. You're speaking too soon. Be careful about being wrong. Won't happen. I calmly shook my head, withdrawing my gaze, reaching into my desk drawer, taking a red bean cake and putting it in my mouth, chewing while praising. Really good. Didn't expect you to make it so well. Winter's expression briefly stiffened, her cheeks slightly redder, clearly anxious. Up front, Derek Yu turned to look at me, his eyes full of resentment. After this bet ends, he'd definitely make me lose face, the person he had his eye on. No one could touch. If I knew he thought this, I'd definitely just laugh dismissively. Winter was mine, could only belong to me, and I was also hers. Just then, the class bell rang.